Are you there? Nope, not yet. Okay, so 308, not too far behind. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So it is day 42 for us on the United States, and day 43 in Armenia of this. I'm starting to get sick of calling it a war because I think that tends to underscore the whole both sides are aggressors type thing. And we need to get out of that. If we're going to be talking about how this isn't a war, about how this isn't both sides are aggressors, we have to start changing the rhetoric. We have to make it clear, and there's a lot of people who are already way ahead of me in this regard. We have to talk about it as war crimes. We have to talk about it as a travesty against NATO, against the EU, against the UN, against essentially anyone who believes that people deserve to live peacefully on their own land. I'm glad that that's already happening, that people understand that, you know, this is essentially an emergency, and it was an emergency weeks ago, but, you know, it is ongoing for the reason that there just haven't been enough voices speaking out. So we're just waiting for Dimitri, who is loading right now. No, you're amazing. Oh man, I really do feel that this is going to be over soon. I genuinely feel that this won't be able to continue for a while, and for a lot of reasons. And I think so. Dimitris, I sent a request for you to join. Pin comment, reply to. So we're just waiting for you to join, Dimitris. Sorry about that. You should see a little notification. So while we're figuring that out, I don't know why this happens sometimes, but you were able to join before. Hi, Asatur. Man, there's so many. I love this. I'm seeing, you know, some of my students, seeing my friends, and I'm seeing some faces that, you know, I don't know. And within seconds of me just rambling, we already have over $350 of donations. That's phenomenal. So let's try again. I'm going to invite Dimitris one more time. So Dimitris, I just sent you, hey, wow, instant. Hello again, my Greek brother. Now, this time we're matching.
Yes, absolutely.
So can you tell us one more time who you are and where you're from, what you're representing, and tell us a bit about what you do?
Yes, so I was born and raised in the beautiful city of Kavala in northern Greece by the water. I lived there for the first 18 years of my life. I went to England to study, to do my BA and my master's. I went back to Greece to do my military service. And after that, I came to the United States, where I've been the last 14 years. I work as a journalist. I'm the correspondent for Greek media back in Greece. And I'm also the correspondent for Cyprus TV, Sigma TV. I am the general director of Hellas FM, Hellas FM, which is the biggest Greek radio station outside Greece. It's the radio of the Greek diaspora. And I have my everyday show, Monday to Friday, 7 to 10 a.m. every day, Eastern Time. And somebody can listen to me through the application on Hellas FM on iPhones and smartphones. Somebody can listen to me and see me through the live I do on Facebook. There is also the IP platform of Hellas TV. So it's a TV show as well.
And you've been playing And you've been playing, I mean, when I tune in, you've been playing Armenian music very, very frequently, and you've been very vocal about a lot of things. In fact, in my mind, and this might anger people, and I hope it does, you have been more of an advocate for Armenians than some Armenians I know who feel that today or these days are the times to be posting selfies and what you ate for dinner, while people are being displaced from their homes. You know, about 50% of Artsakh is, you know, that it's not that it's destroyed, but it's not where it once was, and people are leaving. 50% of it, there's people who are leaving because it's being shelled. So they have to be in Armenia, and they have to be taken care of by Armenia. So to have someone who is, it's almost sacrilege to call you on the outside, because you're not to me at all. I've said this before to you. I see you and some of my other non-Armenian friends as 100% Armenian, no matter whether you're half, a quarter, a 16th, or 0% blood-wise Armenian. You also had gave me the honor of allowing me to speak on your radio station. Who else have you had?
Annie Gigirian, of course, was with me, and she was great. You were great as well. I had the Archbishop of New York, and he was. We had a TV interview, and we aired it through my show. And I had the president of the Armenian Federation from Greece. Also, I had some other people who are involved. They're Armenians back in Greece.
These are big names. These are people who, and you know, I'm not one who's like, oh, they're popular, they're not popular. But if they have a large range, if they have a good quality in their broadcasting, meaning that they report the truth and that they can reach a lot of people, then you know, it's amazing. And people like you who can not only get people to speak from their hearts, but also that people trust them. You know, because I understand that you have been under fire recently because you haven't sold your soul to certain trends that have been going on, even though it was requested of you to do things that you didn't want to do. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that ordeal?
I'm all about truth. And when Maria Chronopoulos, who is a Greek Armenian who lives in New York, and she also was on my show, and she was the first one who contacted me. Yes. I was very, very, let's say, shocked from day one, because my master's is in international relations and politics, and I know very well what is going on in the area, and also as a journalist. As of day one, I thought it's not a big deal, but it's my duty to talk about the atrocities, to talk about the offense, to talk about the attack, to talk about the barbarians, Turks and Azeris, who decided to attack a very peaceful piece of land with people who have been there for thousands of years, with people who have excelled in their history, in their civilization, and they offered so many things on literature. They offered so many things in what we call Western civilization. Yes. So I didn't think I was doing something different. I will tell you something. There are many people who tried to come close to me and tell me that the media back in Greece, they follow a different line because the Azeri politicians have good connections with Greek businessmen, especially with oil. There were some people who told me, you know what, you are not Armenian, you don't have to talk so much about Armenia, we stand by Armenia, but that's it. I will tell you something.
So I want to say one thing very quickly. Like, it is amazing that you're saying this, and I hope that everyone who's tuning in, that you share this. Our goal is to broadcast this to everyone, and we a lot of the people in New York have been protesting at the New York Times and these other journalistic entities and outlets that have been writing things that not only are nonsense and slanted, but they look a lot like Azeri and Turkey talking points. They almost look identical, almost, to the propaganda that they push out. and even the smallest bit of research helps out. But we rarely, a few times, but rarely, you have a comment, Artsakh is Armenian, Turkey out of Cyprus. From my friend and he's going to hate me for saying this, my genius friend, Jano Bogosyan, from UCLA. He is a phenomenal person. Constantinople is Greek.
People who know history, they know the similarities between our two countries. And I will tell you something. I learned to be afraid, and my mother was very rough when I would lie. I'm not scared, and I'm not afraid to tell the truth. And nowadays, we find out that telling the truth makes you different, and that's a pity. I made a decision, and I made it public back in Greece for the elections in the United States, which is a huge story to cover. I had many offers to cover
What
on the
election?
channels, but I decided to go public and say, because the media in Greece do not report the truth on what is going on, and because they keep their mouth shut, I refuse to cover these elections as a correspondent. This is my stand against those who refuse to give out what exactly is going on. And honestly, because there are many people who will watch this, we need to understand something, that at the end of the day, it's not a war that Artsakh is fighting. It's not a war that Armenia is fighting, and we shouldn't care about, or we shouldn't worry.
How do we get more people to be like this? Because you're a very big name. You're someone who can sit down with people who have major influence, and you yourself have major influence, which is why you can attract these people. What does it take for someone to have these qualities, to be truthful, to be, because I know that it's not even about wealth, because I know these people are paid, but there's a certain person who we know that's very wealthy, doesn't need to be paid the amount they're paid, and is doing this anyway.
Greedy.
So I don't think it's just money. Well, what is it?
This person is greedy, and these people have no ethics, and these people do not stop once they get some. They want everything. And I will talk about this person because I like to talk with names. But I will say just one thing, that at the end of the day that I will not be able to go on the microphone and speak the truth, the day that I will not use the microphone to throw light to what is taking place, it is the day that I will continue as a professional with fishing or gardening. But as long as I have the power of a microphone, the power of a camera, the power of TV or radio, I promise to keep doing what I do now. And I don't think I'm doing something different than everybody should be doing. And people are not doing it. I will say something.
It really is amazing. I mean, every single time I hear either some sort of celebration of Armenian culture on this Greek channel. I mean, to me, it's a Greek American channel because but I'm just amazed that there's not more people like you, because what you do attracts great followings. And not just great followings in like large quantities. Obviously, I see the numbers of 25,000, 50,000 views and all these things. What I'm more amazed by is you have good people. You have good people following you, good people agreeing with you, good people extending some of your points, or maybe criticizing a sentence you said. Maybe you didn't say enough. Maybe you said a little too. The number was a little, you needed to update it or something, but you have great people on your side. And this is very rare that I see that you're, but why can't more people be like this? They have all the, I think, the human qualities. Why would the New York Times publish this kind of thing? Why do you think this person that you're about to, I think, talk about, why do you think he's doing this?
I will tell you something, that at the end of the day, it's a question whether you have a soul or not. It's a question whether you have conscience or not. It's a question whether, I have two twin babies, and now that they are very small. When they grow up, I want them to know that their father was not bribed. Their father did not bend and did not follow orders from those who kill, rape, and destroy young people, older people, civilians. I think, I become very passionate when I talk about Armenia, and I cry. And I cry, although I'm not Armenian, because I think these days we should all be Armenians. I think these days we should all understand that every kid that is killed or is afraid of the bombs that are used by the Azeris or the Turks is a bomb against every child. I see pictures of children in Armenia and Artsakh, and I bring my kids on their faces. I bring my family on their faces. I bring, it's what I believe. It's what I think. And at the end of the day, I think that everybody who remains silent is equally guilty.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%.
Yesterday it was Friday night. I hadn't seen my family for all this week. Was crazy reporting about the elections. And my wife goes to me, why are you on the phone again? And I'm on the phone again because I know, I see it, I feel it, I read it. Every post makes a difference. Let's not allow them 1 minute of silence. Let's not allow them, these people do not have the same ethics and the same values we do. But we can touch, to some of them, some very sensitive side of their thinking and of their heart.
Well, when your existence is so rooted in lies, it's so rooted in lies, a single thing shakes their whole fabric. I mean, they claim, and this is maybe petty, but they'll say like a certain celebrity or a certain food or a certain land is Azeri or of Turkic nature. It's just like, no, and like it's very easy to prove these things. So when you see journalists, especially, because people ask, why are you screaming at journalists? It's like, that is their job. I'm not holding them to a higher extent. I'm not holding them to the same extent that I would some guy on the street who's screaming about whatever. These people are paid to report the truth and to inform the people. If they lie, what is their job? What are they actually doing? That's a doctor who is doing malpractice. That's a teacher who is ripping education away from students. So why are these journalists allowed to do this, and why are these outlets not ashamed to treat Armenia, a democratic country that is more democratic than most countries now because of the Velvet Revolution? Why are they treating Armenia and Artsakh, two democratic countries that have elected their presidents in the last 2 years? Why are they treating them with the same vocal veracity than Erdogan, who is clearly in every single way a dictator, and Aliyev, whose family's been in power since 1969, whose wife is vice president, who his father was president, who was president and prime minister, who has the top 10 journalists in jail, as does Erdogan, that's number 2 right now. Lowest transparency, lowest freedom index. Why the fuck are these people treated the same way as the Armenians, who are a democratic, truthful society? Because it can't be because of logic.
Because they're so fucking, I will use your friends, they're so fucking ignorant, they're so fucking pathetic, and they're so fucking guilty. I will tell you something. Somebody doesn't have to be a PhD in history to see the trend. There is a trend. The Byzantine Empire had also Armenian emperors. The Armenians were the guards of the Byzantine Empire to the east. When the Armenians were beaten, the Byzantine Empire was beaten. And when the Byzantine Empire was beaten, the Turks, the Ottomans, reached Europe. 1915, when the Armenians were raped, they were killed, were murdered, were thrown away from their land. After 3 years, because it wasn't just for Armenia, after 5 years, 1922, we have the genocide in Minor Asia, before we had the genocide of the Pontians in Pondos, we had so many people got murdered. They had the same luck with Armenians. And then again, we had the wars. And today, and then we have Turkey invading Cyprus. And then we have Turkey
today, yeah.
Today, Turkey is trying to attack Greece. So why we don't see the trend that it's not about Armenia? People, wake the fuck up. Open your fucking eyes.
You know what's even more scary? Even more scary is when you look at how the Armenian genocide was starting. And by the way, I also get scared when people say the Armenian genocide, as if it didn't happen in the 1890s, as if it didn't happen all across 1915 to 1921, as if there weren't attempts at it throughout the 90s. It is something there. The thing. So you have, by the way, so many comments about people agreeing with you. I'm going to read one of them, and then we have about 5 minutes left. And I'm sorry that I'm going to go 5 minutes over, and I think we'll do the whole thing 5 minutes past. This is Armenia time. We're going to be late. But I want. I lost my train of thought. I want you to know that one of the things they do is they pick a time when people are distracted. So World War I was quite a hell of a distraction for Turks to do what they did. And even on April 24th, when they rounded up the intelligentsia, even when they were asking the remaining people in the villages and the cities, like, we need your guns, we need your men, we need your soldiers to help us during the war. These were lies, obviously, to make us unarmed and to make us alone. So the coronavirus, the election, all of these things, it's not that they're distractions at all. They're real things. But the fact that they're using those, exactly.
It's a moment.
They're using those things because they know that everyone is looking this way.
But you know
and
what?
They can do what they want.
It doesn't matter where they look. At the end of the day, they will be equally guilty with those who commit these crimes. And I want to send the most intense message I can send from the bottom of my heart. English is not my first language. Greek it is. I don't speak Armenian, but Armenian speaks in my heart. It speaks inside me. I will say something. People say thank you because you talk about Armenia all the time. No, I thank Armenia because Armenia is teaching everybody now around the world how it is to stand up for your values, how it is to stand up for your country, how it is to stand up for your family, how it is to stand up for everything that is Artsakh. And honestly, I'm so happy I'm getting into this Armenian culture, because at the end of the day, David never had anybody on his side, and all the others were silent. But that's why David was in history against Goliath, and he won. Armenia, no matter what happens, will be on the brighter pages of history. Every one of the heroes that died today is an angel. Every one of the heroes who's resisting today is better than any American, any French, any German, any Russian, anybody else who stays there, pretends they don't see, they shut their mouth, and they're afraid to talk. So what I say, open your fucking mouth, open your fucking eyes, open your fucking heart. This is reality. Anything that happens to Artsakh, we will all be responsible. We will all be responsible for crimes against humanity. And you know what? 1915, there was no fucking Facebook. There was no social media. There was no TV. People then, they had an excuse that all these that were murdered and slaughtered were the ones that they were left to their destiny because the rest of the people didn't know. But now we know. And because we know today, we have so many pictures, so many videos, so many comments, so many reports. That's why we are so responsible for what is taking place. So please donate money to this cause. Please, everyone from us, we can go out today and spend something less. But this money that we give makes a difference to kids, not only today, but for the next day also. I am very happy that the Greeks,
And maybe the rest of their lives. I mean,
absolutely, absolutely. I'm so happy the Greeks, on their huge majority, they're on their side. Yesterday, I spoke to a very famous Armenian singer, and he's a Greek singer. He's my friend. I told him, Matteo, please, can you write a song for Armenia? Today, he wrote the song. When I translate later in the night the song for you, I will send it to you. You will cry. The words, the meaning.
and I will post it on my Instagram story. I promise, 100%. I'll make it very clear. Dimitris, I said this to you in person in New York City 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at the Report the Truth event. I want to say there's no words that I know to say how much I thank you and stand by you, and I love you, and I can't. There's not anything I could possibly say to even get 1/100th to the extent in which I thank you for using your voice to speak the truth and to speak out against this stuff. And the only thing that like puts some of this into an even more insane perspective is that there aren't more like you. When I think about how much better the world would be, how much more honest, how hard, if there was 10 times as many people like you in the media, in any media, radio, show. I think you're a little too handsome for radio. So that's why you have the Facebook Live, which you guys should catch him on Facebook Live too. That's how I watch you. Though the app is the app I haven't heard of, but until today, I don't think you could possibly have Hitler, Erdogan, Aliyev. You couldn't have these kind of people if there were more of you. And for that reason, I say so much thank you, Dimitris. Half the comments I see right now is how much love they have for you. I'm going to screenshot it so I could send it to you later.
I will tell you something closing. I thank the president of Hellas FM of the radio, because he gave me a blank check, meaning that I can do anything I want talking about truth, Nikofila. And also, I want to thank all the messages and all the people who send these messages. It gives me strength, to be honest, but you know what? I cannot sleep. It's 40 days now. I cannot sleep before I hug my kids and I cry for some other kids who cannot get this hug from their parents who are fighting on the front line. So I pray every day for these people. We are all Armenians. We are all on your side. Anybody who doesn't get it, read, get informed, realize, and react. Let's all give the money we can give. But first of all, before money, let's give our attention, our soul, our heart, our love to those, because Armenia is a very small country, but today, 2020, for me, it's the biggest country. And the big countries are so small in my eyes, the ones who accept and tolerate murderer Erdogan and murderer Aliyev and the ISIS to attack our brothers and sisters. And that's all I have to say. Please, Hachteluenk, Thanikisume in Greek, Thanikisume, we will win. Thanikisume, we will win. And at the end of the day, we will be there to celebrate all together, because God wants only the truth and God wants only the right. And Armenia has the right. And please, please, let's be on your side. You're doing amazing things, the diaspora. And we will fight with every power we have to be on your side. God bless you all, and God bless all these men and women on the first line of duty who are more brave and stronger than the rest of the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dimitris. Thank you. Love you, man.
Love you.
Sagapo.
Thank you.
Amazing. He is amazing. He is such an awesome guy. I remember in New York when we had our protest, he I wanted to go up to him because a lot of my friends are like, this is Dimitris. He has this massive radio station. He's a phenomenal guy. He's funny. He's good. He's wild. Hello, Rabin.
Hello, Sam. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm well. I'm just finishing a very quick story.
Yeah, don't worry.
Basically, I asked our previous guest, like, hey, I'm Sam. Nice to meet you. I've been hearing your show, and I'm just, amazed at what you're doing and everything. And he looks at me and he goes, one of the first things Dimitris has said to me, he goes, have you seen the photos of the children looking at their homes? The look of confusion, the look of sadness. It's a very young sadness. A young sadness is much worse than the sadness we have, because the sadness we have is, it's so jaded. We've fought against sadness. We've wrestled with sadness for so long as we get older with all the things in the world. But seeing a child who really doesn't understand why things can't just be okay. What is it that causes this kind of monstrosity? To see the children like that was the first thing Dimitri said to me right before I had to give a speech. So I was like, among all the things you're feeling when you're facing all these people. So that's who was just on, and he's obviously a fantastic human. As are you. Can you tell us who you are, where you're from, what you represent, and then I'm going to throw some questions at you.
Okay. Well, is the connection fine now? Do you hear me
Beautiful,
and you
beautiful.
see me well and everything?
I wish you were here so I could hug you, but I see you
Oh.
perfectly.
So my name is Robin Kulaksesian. I'm Armenian from France. I'm born and raised in Paris, capital of
All
France.
French people, you should be sharing it to your French friends right
Yeah,
now, because France is in the house.
yeah,
And donate,
exactly. Donate first and then listen
and
to
then share.
the
Yeah.
conversation. Well, so yeah, I'm from France. I'm Armenian. I'm actually half Armenian. My mother is French. My father is Armenian. I've been. I wasn't like that much into. I didn't grow up totally in the Armenian culture. I didn't go to an Armenian school and everything. But I had something I loved in my life, like not from early, because well, I didn't do that when I was with family or as a kid. But when I became a student, I discovered a passion for traveling. So like every time I was like backpacking, any week I had off, any vacation I had, I was like taking my backpack and traveling in different countries. And I realized that in almost every place you can find fellow Armenians. And I realized the interesting thing is when you can go somewhere, meet a fellow Armenian, but which is like it's like a brother or a sister, but also somebody from the country. You go to Argentina, like Sam, we were in a year ago or 6 months ago, we were in Buenos Aires. Like, you are not Argentine, I am not Argentine. We're both Armenians. And we were in a restaurant in Buenos Aires, and randomly we met a girl that was from an Armenian from Buenos Aires. So you could have in a restaurant in Argentina 3 Armenians from the US, from France, and from Argentina. So you have like these connections that are made when through traveling. That's something for me like exceptional, unique. So
it is.
The project I had is called Little Armenias.
Wait. The award-winning project, the award-winning and much recognized, amazing, and I'm so happy I have a copy, project. Continue.
Thank you.
I'm not going to let you sell yourself short. I'm not going to let you be humble. You can try.
You're much better than me at selling my project, I have to say.
Maybe I have a lot of experience with being arrogant. I don't know.
I wouldn't tell. So yeah, I decided to write a book, because that was not just a book like talking about myself. It's like a travel guide. I love travel guides. Like, if you say, yeah, I know, in my library, I have like dozens of travel guides. When I go somewhere, like I go to California, I just have the Lonely Planet and I visit the places. But I was thinking, we need a travel guide for the Armenian diaspora, which is like, instead of having South India or whatever, we have the whole world, but only about the Armenian communities, like our diaspora, or restaurants, or grocery stores, could be like museum, churches, everything that basically you can visit when you travel, to meet the local Armenians that are locals in every place. Like in the book, there is like 100 countries. I've traveled to dozens and 100 countries.
Sao
And
Paulo,
so from
Sao Paulo,
Russia
where
to
I met you,
Brazil. Sorry?
or Sao Paulo, where I met you,
Yeah, exactly. São
in
Paulo.
Brazil.
So to Russia, to Thailand, to Mexico, to the US, of course, Canada, everywhere. So so yeah, that was the idea of it, to have something like a Lonely Planet travel guide, but everyone can have it at home, and then you have everything in it. So you can like just go somewhere. Oh, tomorrow I'm going to Prague. You just open it, like Czech Republic, Prague. What is there to see? Armenian in the city. So yeah, that was the idea. Now we have like more projects because of Focus, of course, where I've met you, Sam, in São Paulo. So now I'm going to work with this AGBU and the Newborn Nazarian Innovators Fund to do like further like a platform where we can promote activities.
People were just asking, when can you make an app? We want this to be an app. We want to be able to have it in our phone.
We have several projects. The app is not the first one, but we have different projects. The first thing I really want to do is like to allow local Armenians to organize excursions, tours. Okay, now of course, you know, I got COVID, and both COVID and the war, as we're going to talk about it, of course, but like we got two very, very bad news for us Armenians. Even three if you count Beirut. We had a very hard year, but well, I'm sure, you know, we've always had this kind of difficulties in our history, and I don't think that our generation can be the one saying, oh, this is too hard for me and let's keep it, or let's abandon or something. Our ancestors did like much harder than us, so we can't be the generation giving up. So definitely, yeah.
You
so
know,
these projects are
it makes
like
me
for
think.
Next year, no problem.
It makes me think of the fact that the first time I met you was in Sao Paulo. The second time I met you, I believe, was in Yerevan. The third time I met you was in Buenos Aires.
Totally.
In the course of about a year and maybe a year and a half. There's a reason why we are a diaspora. It's not because we don't want, or our ancestors didn't want to be in Armenia. It's because there are assholes who gain power, trick a bunch of unsuspecting people into, or enough unsuspecting people into allowing them to cause chaos and evil and war crimes, which we will definitely, I think some of my other guests are going to dive really, really specifically into these things. But this is why we have these diasporas. And tell me one thing, what is a unifying thing? And by the way, a reminder to donate and a reminder to share, definitely, because if there's someone who is a recognizable face, it's this guy right here, to the Armenians all around the world. Tell me one thing, what is one quality you see among, or a few qualities maybe, you see that are uniform amongst the Armenian communities around the world?
I'd say our past and our future, because like there is, I can't tell, like, I don't know, I can't tell like something that's very characteristic, like, I don't know, happy or good dancer or whatever, because that's things that you'll find Armenians in each country, like all around the world, and they all have their differences, and I think that's very rich, and that's very that's very powerful to have these differences. If you talk about something in common, I think the most important that we all share is the idea of a common past and a common future. So we all, as Armenians, from Armenia, from Artsakh, from Russia, from the US, wherever, Australia, we all know where we come from, and we all know we share that past, The past, I'd say one thing. We have the past where we've been living almost for a long time, not all our history. We have like a very long history. We've had times of like powerful kingdoms. We had time where we lived in empires, where we were like second-zone citizens, where we've been like victims of discrimination, sometimes even worse.
And still
But
sometimes, and still somehow thriving in communities despite the massive amounts of
exactly.
oppression.
But the thriving thing is very important, because like even about the diaspora, we have, I think, even beyond the fact that we were living in places where they discriminated us and everything, we also have this multicultural identity. If you take like in the 17th century, one of the most efficient trading networks was the Armenians from North Jura, New Julfa in Isfahan, the capital of the Persian Empire at that time. And they had colonies of merchants, not a lot, but like dozens of Armenian merchants in Manchester, in Amsterdam, in Bruges, in Belgium, in Marseille, in Livorno, in Italy, all the way in Astrakhan in Russia, all the way to Manila, to like the former Jakarta in Java, to Myanmar, to Burma, to India, everywhere. And so this thing
in Venice too,
identity, and this, we feel we have a big capacity of adaptation. We like to learn languages, we like to learn different cultures, and I think we also have this thing of empathy. We can like go somewhere and understand the place, understand the traditions, respect the people of the country we're living in. And these things are, this sensibility is also something we have. And I think that's also why we had also this idea of traveling a lot and having this kind of making the connection between different cultures as a very cosmopolitan people, I think. So there is that's the past we share, and I think we also share a future. I think as Armenians anywhere, we have, even if we have everyone has its own, is doing its own parts of of like keeping its identity. It could be like opening up a school, learning Armenian, having a jazz band in Armenian, singing in Armenian, a church, whatever. Everybody's doing its part, but we all know that we have a common future, and we donate. For example, when part of our Armenianness is attacked, like in Artsakh right now, but we all see our future as something common, not individual. I think that's also something important, and we all share that.
Yes. I mean, it reminds me of William Soroyan's quotes where he says, you know, destroy our churches, like, see if you can destroy Armenia, for when two meet in the world, see if they do not create a new Armenia. Yeah. That has a future tense aspect to it, in the fact that Armenians, or rather Armenia, is not something you can destroy. It just, you can really commit war crimes against it, which certain medias won't do anything about. You can do horrific things to Armenia, or you can try to, but the goal of getting rid of Armenia is impossible. It's not something you're going to be successful in. Doesn't matter how outnumbered we are, which we are, but you see the numbers, you know, 7,500 now infantry on Azerbaijan's side gone, which, by the way, again, a reminder to anyone who doesn't know, Azerbaijan is not counting their bodies. They're not counting their deaths. They're not counting their casualties, and they're not letting the people back home, whether it's Baku or any other place, they're not letting them know about their own children that are dead, that have been killed because they've been dragged into a war. They've been tricked into a war based on an illusion that this land is theirs, by a group of people who have had power for 50 years. Like, what nonsense? Like, what sadness? If there is such a thing as, you know, spirits and souls and judgment, I wonder what misery Aliyev and his regime will face. And I honestly, I feel bad for the Azeri mother. I genuinely do. And not in like a pity they're worse than us thing, but in if you know, if someone in my family, I was told that they were fighting bravely for some cause that I thought was real, was dead for weeks, I would be terrified. And if I was, you know, Muslims, they can't eat pig, but we've seen the videos of wild pigs eating the dead that are in the fields. It's just such a miserable thing, and I really hope that after we win, after we win this war, that Azerbaijan looks inside. They look inside themselves. They ask themselves, how did they let this happen? How, the same way that Germany looked inside of themselves and became one of the most powerful countries, they're going to have to eventually recognize the war crimes that they permitted based on the ignorance that they allowed themselves to fall into. The same thing goes for Turkey.
Yeah, I agree. Mm.
Have you been to Turkey in your travels?
Yeah,
You must
yeah.
have.
I've been to Turkey. I've been like, actually, I think no, I haven't been to Australia. That's the only place where I haven't been like to visit with a huge Armenian community. But I've been everywhere else. Turkey is, you have two parts. You have Istanbul, where you have Bolis in Armenian, where you really have an Armenian community, where you have you can visit like 20 churches. They are open. There is liturgies celebrated there. You have the patriarchate. I'm not saying it's an easy life and everything. They have problems. There are discriminations and everything, as there are in other countries, by the way. Not only in Istanbul, we face sometimes issues as Armenians in many countries. But still, there is an Armenian social life, there is an Armenian religious life, there is an Armenian cultural life. You have like several schools, the kids speak Armenian. Well, so it's different. Istanbul can be considered as a functioning Armenian society, community. But the rest of the country is different, where you have most of the Armenian heritage, well, it's just buildings, because there is no more Armenians living there in the eastern part of Turkey. But
They get
and
renamed. They get renamed and changed, and you know,
yeah,
they say that the symbols mean something different. There was the infinity symbol, and you know, people, they were asking their tour guide, Armenians were asking their Turkish tour guide, what is that symbol? Knowing what it is, they just want to hear the person's response. And he made up some sort of like Zoroastrian, not Zoroastrian, but gave some
yeah.
sort of I think
Actually,
pagan answer, which, not that it's entirely wrong. It's just like he didn't mention Armenia.
yeah, I think most places you feel like they avoid to mention that is Armenian. Sometimes they say it's Georgian. Sometimes they say it's like just Christian without mentioning it's Armenian. Sometimes they say it's Armenian also. You have places where it depends on the places, but like you have, of course, the exception of Ahtamar, where you really have like the church has been renovated and everything, but it's more an exception than a rule. And then it depends, but the general idea is more like anyway, just buildings that are not what I'm looking for when I travel in the Armenian diaspora. I'm looking for communities. I'm looking for people more than buildings. Buildings, of
Yes.
course, but I'm looking for people. So that's not really what you find in Eastern Turkey, because you don't have any more Armenians.
Robin John, I do have another question, but someone gave you a comment. It's my friend who's a Bolsahai and like one of the nicest and most like energetic people I know. He says most Armenians living in Turkey live in fear and aren't living their true Armenian lives out in the open. Their Armenian lives are lived in private in their homes.
Yeah. I think well, I'm not Armenian from Istanbul to speak at their place,
Idem.
but I think other countries can be the same. You have, well, this might be like a very extreme case, but you find that in other countries. I've seen Armenians in Georgia sometimes having issues with their Armenian identity. You can have Armenians where even in I don't know, in many countries, like some in Ukraine, in France, when they, not now, but in France when the Armenians arrived after the genocide, that wasn't easy to leave your Armenian identity in the outside, because you don't have this kind of multicultural societies as it was in the US. In France, that was very hard for the first generation to keep some part of the Armenian culture, because you had the assimilationist model, and we've needed a lot of time even to build churches, even to have our own schools and everything. The Armenian schools in France are very recent. That's something.
So that leads to my last question, and then we have to go to our next lovely guest. But my last question is, all the cars are honking because Joe Biden won the election. So I promised myself I wouldn't say anything about that. I don't want to introduce that sort of, because American politics.
Focus on our
yes,
issues.
we have enough to talk about, obviously.
Yeah,
and I think I will ask you to speak again. But my question is, how is France right now in terms of what has been happening there?
France is one of the few countries where you have a strong Armenian community and a strong Turkish community. So if you talk about like the far right, the fascist Turkish militia,
the Grey
Wolves that have been forbidden. First, it's not the majority of Turks. Like some people, sometimes are really also making the confusion. You shouldn't say, like, some Turks in France are in solidarity with Armenians. Some others don't care. Some others are very assimilated as French people, almost. Like, yeah, you have all kinds of Armenians, all kinds of Turks, whatever. So
of course
there is an issue with nationalistic more in the youth, the young people than the elderly, I think. But you have problem of nationalism and extremism among some young Turkish people in France that are attacking Armenians. Honestly, I think that's something that can be solved quite easily with law, with the French law. They've done already a first step with the banning this far right militia, which is totally logical, actually. Like, France has been,
right, isn't it? If someone is going around saying things like kill Jews, kill blacks, kill Armenians, why would you not immediately say that's not okay? Because whether you're Jewish or black or Armenian or any of these things, you're a citizen of our country. So we will protect you as you contribute to our country, to our whatever it is you do, that you contribute as a human, as a citizen. Yeah. So if someone's saying, I'm going to kill you because part of your blood represents this country, it is, like you said, I think the word you used was logical, right?
It is punished by law in France. You just have to apply the law. No need to like create new laws. We have an issue that something that's true is that today we have the social networks that are making things worse, because even the stupidest guy alone in his like countryside, whatever, or
basement or
lost somewhere, can be in contact with the person he wants to bully on the internet, and then send a message to a woman like, I want to rape you, this kind of thing. That's too easy. Like this kind of threats and racial slurs, whatever you're talking about, that's something you can do easily today because of social network. So that might be the thing that makes it worse. And I think the legislation is clear, but the application of the legislation, especially when it's on the internet, is going slowly, and people very often, too often, are thinking, well, it's just a message, it's just like a stupid phrase, it's just a stupid person, and they don't go further. I think we should, when you're attacked, especially when you're attacked for what you are, being a woman, being an Armenian, whatever, if you are attacked for what you are, you should go to the police station and
expect justice, like, and you should expect justice. Yeah.
Because that's forbidden by law. And if you go,
why is it that very understandable sentence you just said, that very obvious and almost so obvious that why are we even saying that sentence? Why is it that isn't universal?
Yeah,
it's wild. John, I have to jump into the next guest. I love you. Tell us your book one more time, please.
Tell us what?
Tell us about your book one more time, please.
Well, I have it here. That's the book, Little Armenians. And
Little Armenias, everyone. It's on Amazon. There's also
it's on
you
Amazon.
Should follow it.
Right now, because of like all the COVID and everything, the fastest way to get it is Amazon, 100%. Because we're also selling it on the Instagram page, but it's getting slower because of the, right now we are locked down again in France, so it's easier for Amazon because we got the new lockdown. And
but still follow Little Armenia on Instagram, because you'll see all of his posts. You'll also see me when I have a cold answering his questions, as I had a cold. It wasn't Corona. Okay, John, I love you, and I think
Sam.
We'll definitely have you on again. Thank you for all the information and the education. It's inspiring to hear this sort of cultural understanding from you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sam, for what you're doing, and really, I don't know how you do that. Like having yesterday and today, having all these interesting people.
If you knew my schedule, you would freak out. You would freak out.
How you keep your concentrate? You always find the good questions. Like I was hearing Dimitris before me. Like it's very interesting. Every single person is so interesting. So. Thank you very much. You're the one I should thank, and really.
This is the superpower, Hokis. This is how I get my energy. Hachteluenk. With people like you, Hajog Janig.
Hajog.
The answer to how I do all of this, the real answer, is my beanie, my Hokis beanie. It gives me indefatigable energy. I tried to sleep while I had my hat on, and I started levitating out of the bed. It was a wonderful experience. But definitely go to Hokis, because they are amazing. He is also a hero. Yes, he is. He is 100% a hero, Robin. He is an international hero, Robin, because he shows that there is Armenia everywhere on this earth, and is just such a good person, such a good human. I'm just amazed. His book is phenomenal. It travels to like well over 100 countries, and communities, Armenian communities, and it's just fascinating that you see this kind of thing, that we exist in all of these places in abundance, and that there's some differences in the everything from the accents to what we love, what we enjoy, but there is that unifying thing, which is that we all have Armenia in our hearts. Just invited you. So now we're going to have on our lovely American friend. You have to update your app. It won't. So I guess I can speak for a little bit. I want to talk very quickly about what happened in New York a few weeks ago. Not just the protest, but rather what happened specifically with not the protest at the New York Times, but the protest in like 3-4 weeks ago at ABC and NBC. Um, says you have to upgrade your app. Make sure. And that it's updated. And I have, let's see. Cool. Now we're good. Cool. Just the fact that, you know, for so long we've been doing this. I mean, I've lost my voice like 5 times during this. Oh, hello, John.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am
Sorry, it took me a
running
little
on
while.
fumes.
Figuring this out took me a little bit of
Oh,
time.
it's all good, John. So tell us who you are, where you're from, what you know, what you represent, where you are now. Tell us and what you do.
Okay, so well, my name is Nair Zakarian. I was born in Javakh, which is an Armenian community on the territory of Republic of Georgia. That's where my roots are from. But I live in New York, raised in Boston, Mass. And I'm an actress and a model. So that's what I do.
Excellent, excellent. So I guess my first question for you, I mean, this has been really educational so far. With our first two guests, they have been amazing. Uh, what to you, what in your words, in your perspective, with your insight, what is going on?
What is going on? What is not going on? I mean, there's so much going on. And there's so much already said about what's going on. I don't want to necessarily be repetitive. All I know is that we really need to unite our forces and stand for what we believe is ours, and it's really, really important. I mean, I think the secret is out as far as the extermination of Armenians and getting us out of our lands and losing our heritage and the right to exist. And I think enough is said to that end. And so now or never, really, for us to do whatever it takes, and whoever can do wherever. I think that there is no little thing in such a large cause, and everything can contribute in any possible way they can, whether or not it's raising awareness, talking to their friends that have never heard about Armenians or Armenia. I mean, there's a huge concentration of Armenians in Los Angeles, but believe it or not, on East Coast, back when I used to say that I'm Armenian, they'd be like, what's that, Albanian? I'm like, no, Armenian. And
And they're
so
like, oh, Romanian,
or
cool. And you're
Romanian,
like,
Albanian,
no.
it's like one of those always. And it's offensive to a degree, being such an old culture that we're not widely recognized today. And
Yeah.
you know, I'm lucky to have that platform as an actress to bring that awareness around. And I do make sure that, you know, whenever I'm in public or work with other people, especially from different cultures, that I do my part in educating and making people curious, really, to learn more. There is no such a thing as forcing ourselves onto someone, but really make it interesting for people to be curious about who we are, because we have a lot to say and to share and to give. Honestly, I feel like we're such a giving community, or
One of the last comments is, imagine being Armenian in Sweden. It's a struggle every day.
I can't. I honestly, it's funny that I'm discovering Armenians all over the world in places that I did not know we existed. But it's good. It's good. It means that we're
Yes.
widespread, and it's good.
And it shows that there's a togetherness. I mean, there's a reason why we're all shouting, and suddenly we're finding Armenians all around the world. Uh, there's a reason. And
It's a good feeling.
why don't you tell us, why do you think the average human person, why should they be interested in this? Why isn't this just an Armenian issue? Why is this something that every person should at least care about, in your opinion?
I mean, I'm not going to go into politics of it and the goals that politicians have set forward for themselves. I don't think that's necessarily my strong suit. But whenever it comes to exterminating anything or anyone, I think it's a global problem, no matter who you are, where you come from. And it's strange to actually feel that we're in some sort of we're in 21st century and nothing's really changed. It's that wild west, it feels like. And it also opens up our eyes, or my eyes, to the fact that you know, not much really has changed. And so everyone should care, because honestly, this can happen to anyone, anywhere in the world. And because we're humans, that we have to have a compassion for each other. It doesn't matter if it's an Armenian problem or some other problem. I mean, I've been part of other movements that I felt strongly about, because, you know, if I could save a human life or human dignity, that's my number one thing to do as a human being. You know, that's sort of what sets me apart from being a simple living, breathing thing. So it certainly is a global problem, and I think there's definitely not enough done as far as you know, other communities go to take their part and make this heard.
I agree 100%. Just a reminder to everyone, please share to every corner on your Instagram, to your stories, invite people in here. I just so you know, sometimes I like kind of go off to the corner and like move. It's because I'm writing down phrases that some of you guys are saying. I really like what you said, that like it's hard to come to terms with the fact that just not much has changed, that it's the 21st century, and these problems that we see in history books that we are detached from, we're like, that would never happen in 2020. A genocide would never happen in 2020. There's two at least going on right now, three going on at least. There's, you know, the fact that you've seen the video of them releasing the white phosphorus onto the mountains, onto the trees.
Of course, yeah.
You don't think that that's something that can happen in 2020. And I want to point out, kind of combining two things you've said, like we're seeing all these Armenians around the world suddenly because we're screaming and shouting for people to see this. What an like almost a pathological feeling, like a disease feeling, to be saying, look at the atrocity, and the world not reacting to it almost at all for a week at least. And now it's little by little, the smart and the countries and organizations that have a semblance of, I want to use Dimitri's word, integrity. The ones that have integrity are the ones responding, but it's still terrifying to compare it to what we're doing, how hard we're working, how little sleep we're getting, to what the world is responding with. Oh, you're prettier than I am. That's why.
Oh.
I don't think any amount of sleeplessness would corrupt that. For me, this is me forever. You're gonna see my eyes are eventually just gonna become like black holes. I'm gonna hold things in here.
You'll be fine, I'm sure.
I'm like, do you have any change? I'm like, yeah, let me get some out. So isn't it crazy though, the contrast between how the world is responding and how the Armenians around the world are responding?
I mean, even if we take the whole Armenian subject and put it aside, the fact that forests are burning, I'm shocked that there are so many organizations you know, fighting for the lives of turtles and seals and the ocean. Where are they? Why are they not sort of jumping into this as a catastrophe, not only for Armenians, what it does to Earth, to our planet? You know, it's a little bit outside of. I feel like that's outside of our problem. I mean, we understand why it's been done, but that's why it's a global. It's a global problem on so many levels, and I am shocked that we're getting very little response, and we're pushing really, really hard.
Yes, we are.
But
But
you know,
you're right,
it
though. I
only
mean,
means that we have to do more. That's all.
but you're so right. It's not even about doing more. We should do more, of course, but we should be very pragmatic, very strategic about what is actually happening. So tell us, like, what other advocacy groups do you think would be interested in what's happening in Artsakh based on what is actually happening in Artsakh? I mean, you mentioned wildlife, people who are into saving the earth. Obviously, uh, there's other ones involved too. What comes to your mind about this kind of thing that people can be working towards? The first thing that comes to my mind is the displaced children and the amount of children that, have lost their parents, have lost their father.
That goes without saying. I mean, that you know, it's a tragedy that's gonna take 100 years to recover from, and that it's broken lives, it's broken families, it's a disaster all around. But what I'm trying to say that it's not only an Armenian problem.
Yeah.
You know, when you have forests on fire, when you have wildlife dying, when you have it makes you realize that even no matter where you are, you're not safe. If we're living in a world where anything goes and wherever, people can let themselves do whatever they want to do, it makes me feel that we're not safe. And so it's a red flag, not only for Armenians, but for everyone around the world, to say that, as long as there's enough money and power, we can be killed and raped and thrown out on the street and
Have our homes burned.
Have our homes burned. I mean, and I take this very personally because I was in Artsakh 2 years ago, actually a year ago, for a film premiere, and 2 years ago when I was shooting the film Gate to Heaven, and I lived there for 2 years in Stepanakert, and I have lots of friends that are in the front lines right now that I'm in touch with, and it's a very painful experience, because every morning I'm afraid not to hear back from them, thinking, oh my God, what could have happened? I mean, I was lucky to be there and have the experiences that I have and memories that I have of all the beautiful mountains and the zones.
Can you tell us more? Tell us more about your experiences doing this movie Gate to Heaven in Stepanakert.
So it's done by Jovanovic, who is from Artsakh, and originally from Artsakh. Now he lives in Yerevan, Armenia. But he is actually on the front lines now, defending his homeland.
The director?
The director, yeah, he made the decision to go and do what he had to do to defend his homeland, where he comes from. Wow. And he suffered the first conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh, which was in 1990s, and he had childhood memories that made him do films about Artsakh, and this was his third feature film that he did. He had 2 other ones, and this one. So it was an international cast, and even after the film sort of was, while we were doing the film, working on the film, there were threats from Azerbaijan to the cast members. One in particular from Germany. His name is Richard Samuel, who was in Tarantino film. He received threats that he should not be in this film because it's war propaganda, and you know, it's although it has nothing to do with war. This is a human story.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing, though?
Yeah.
The very fact, I think of Anthony Bourdain, and the fact that Anthony Bourdain, when he was literally landing in Artsakh, got a message from Azerbaijan saying, you are a persona non grata. You are not allowed.
Yes, and it's funny actually, because when we were crossing the border into Artsakh, they did warn us that if we have the stamp in our passports, we're not going to be allowed on the territory of Artsakh because we're going to get arrested. Well, I did not have any intention to visit them anyways, although I almost feel like I should be there now doing whatever it takes. But so yeah, they're definitely keeping the tabs on everything that sort of been happening in that area even before all the war took place. But
it's pathetic, though, right? I mean, the movie isn't about.
It's not.
But doesn't that strike you as a little bit almost curious that even existing, even visiting, even documenting this place is enough for them to threaten to kill you, threaten to ruin your career, threaten to hurt you? Why is just visiting a place enough for Anthony Bourdain to be threatened and not excommunicated, because he never was there, or he never was going there, but what are you if your foundation, the thing that you're grounded on, is so vulnerable that if someone visits a place,
yeah,
you're completely done with them. They just visit.
Yeah. Well,
That's
you know, I think that they do whatever it takes to conceal the truth, because anyone who's been to Artsakh and who's been to monuments and churches, it doesn't take much to realize that Azerbaijan has nothing to do with those lands. It's you know, it's so they're trying to control the information and what people get to see, and therefore these threats, you know.
It's like the only way, right? It's like literally the only way is to conceal the truth. Because if people knew, like, Artsakh declared independence, you know, before Azerbaijan existed as an entity. So their whole, like, you're our country, that doesn't make sense at all. But you said, like, it's quite bizarre. It's a very insecure thing. We were talking yesterday about, you and I were talking about psychology.
Yeah.
The amount of just insecurity here is unbelievable. And it's not Azerbaijan. It's Aliyev's regime in Azerbaijan, and it's not Turkey. It's Erdogan's regime in Turkey.
Of course, and of course, I mean, of course, we're not talking about the people. I cannot imagine living in that regime and what it really means to them. You know, I cannot comment on it. It is sad to see that, you know, war is taking lives not only of Armenians, but on the other side too. And, you know,
I agree.
as I said, we're human, and I am very sympathetic to these people. And so, but the regime is yeah. I guess they have
One thing that differs, though,
takes, you know?
one thing, exactly, whatever it takes. The one thing that, Jano says, it's not just Erdogan. No political party besides Garo Palayan's HDP have spoken about against Erdogan. It's a societal, cultural issue. You're right. But the only reason, okay, so I don't mean that it's only Erdogan's regime. When I say Erdogan's regime and Aliyev's regime, well, for Aliyev's regime, I do mean Aliyev's regime exactly. But for, actually not even there. It's what they stand for. It's what their regime stands for. So I do mean the politicians, everyone who is even remotely complicit with the ultra hyper nationalism that is coming out of, spewing out of this mongrel Erdogan and this mongrel puppet Aliyev. anything that connects that. That's what I mean, Jano. But you're right. It's not just Erdogan and his direct, loud supporters. It is many, many, many entities, if not almost all of them. And there, as I said yesterday, every Turk, every person living in Turkey, whether they're Latin or Armenian or Arabic or Greek, everyone that doesn't speak out or that isn't directly condemning Erdogan is just as complicit as people are in Germany who didn't speak about Hitler. It's not easy. It's not easy to do that when you live in a dictatorship. It's terrifying. Armenia, to a degree, lived in a pretty tough circumstances, and it was tough to speak about the oligarchy. But we did it. We had our revolution, and it's tough to compare these things. But it is important to note, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Jano. Jano's a great guy. I want to have him on one day, but he's busy doing surgeries all day.
Oh, saving lives. It's important.
That's true. That's true. Do you have any? They are very afraid to go to jail. Yeah, you're right. Again, not saying it's easy.
Yeah, I don't think it's jail. I think it's a lot more than jail. I don't think people come out of those jails. That's the problem. I don't think it's just, that simple.
Yeah, I mean, when your family is threatened, it becomes a lot more difficult to be tough. You might be tough and say, you can beat me, you can torture me, but when you see your children being threatened or the person you love being threatened, then that's scary. Johnny, do you have a question? What was the movie called? Oh, you should say it.
Oh, it's called Gate to Heaven.
So we have about 3-4 minutes left. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what the movie is about? I mean, clearly it's it's Armenian anti-Azeri propaganda, right?
Well, it's an international cast and crew, so the film is in English, believe it or not.
But is it what they say in Azerbaijan? Is it propaganda against?
It depends how you view it, I guess. It is set in the time when the war took place. I mean, I guess what director is trying to reveal is what war does to people and the aftermath of war, and how what's happening right now, children losing their parents and their loved ones, and just scattered all over the world and not being able to know the truth and find their loved ones. And so the film is really highlighting it's a love story, but it's a very sad love story, and it highlights really what war does to human. It's a very human film that there's a lot of soul search in the film. So it's not directly about, the war and who's right and who's wrong and what we should do and not do. It's just to show that war has consequences, and it takes generations to resolve it. And if anything, the film is anti-war. But
so maybe that's why Azerbaijan is so against it. Just the fact that it's anti-war, the fact that it has a lot of soul searching in it. Why would a country that commits genocide want to look at its own soul? What a terrifying thing that must be.
I think that film is by Armenian director, made in Artsakh. That's already a huge conflict for them. And this director has an international recognition, which means that a lot of people, this is a huge platform for people to recognize certain things and put Artsakh on the map, for people to do their own research and find things out for themselves. So this is really, awareness that they don't want people to have. And so to them, shut down the film. It's don't show it because it's about war.
I like that quote too.
They have their own reasons, and the reason is that they don't want Artsakh on the map. They don't want it to be called Artsakh to begin with. To them, it's Nagorno-Karabakh. I think it hurts their ears to hear that it's Artsakh.
Yeah. It reminds me of like voter suppression, but instead it's like reality suppression. They don't want anyone in the world to know what's going on. That's why they control their media. And again, keep sending this out. I see the numbers go up and then they stay. Keep inviting your friends, especially from around the world, because this is information that is coming from people who have experiences and immense knowledge of this. If yesterday was all about inspiration, today seems to be all about education. So, Naira Jan, I want to say thank you so much for being on. Do you have any closing things you'd like to say, Jan?
Closing things. Well, Hafteluyink.
Oh, what a great, I love it. Thank you. Hafteluyink, Jan. And thank you so much. I look forward to getting all of us together, all 19 of us now, from yesterday and today, all of us together, after we win, of course, celebrating, and our first cheer will be repeating Hafteluyink 1,000 times, not just because we have won, but because no matter what happens to Armenia, what tribulations, whether it's an earthquake that kills 50,000 people, whether it is a 7-year war, a blockade, any of these things, no matter what, we will win.
We will.
The last comment.
Always prevail.
I want you to be here for the last comment. I love Jivan Avetisyan. He is a great friend. He was my guide in Artsakh when I was there in 2005.
Who is this? I can't see for some reason.
Rafi Arnoqyan.
Thank you, Rafi. He is an amazing human being. Great
There you go.
He discovered Artsakh for me, as well as Armenia, actually. Before him, I didn't have much of a chance to, explore Armenia the way I explored while I was working on this film. I actually witnessed the Purple Revolution there because I went for fittings for this film, and Purple Revolution was taking place. So
the Velvet Revolution.
The Velvet. Why am I saying purple?
Yeah.
Velvet. Yeah.
Because you're seeing maybe red and blue together, and your mind is putting them. I don't know.
Together.
Amazing. Well, that makes to me Jivan a hero, and it makes me see that when a hero speaks their truth to another person, that other person becomes a hero as well. And that's what you are in what you're doing in sharing the word. And I see that your Instagram is flooded with this information too. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for everyone.
Bye, John.
Bye. Have a good day.
Amazing. Just fascinating. There's so many things that like I know each of us want to keep saying, on and on about what's going on, because there's an immense amount. And I think, and I wanted to really expand on one of the things she said. She said they don't want the awareness, and I wanted to really zoom in on that even more, but we were running out of time, which is more my fault than anything. But they don't want the awareness. It's such a fascinating thing. I think maybe it was Noam Chomsky who said when it is a crime, when reporting a crime is seen as a crime, you are run by criminals. I've definitely butchered that quote. But now we're waiting for Aram. So let's see where Aram Jan is. There he is. There you are.
Sorry about that. I was trying to get it on the laptop, but it was only working on the phone. So
yes, let that be a message to all of you. Only on the phone, unless your laptop, I guess, is fitted for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
How are you, John? How is everything?
Good.
How
are you, my friend? Good. All good.
I'm honestly tired.
I can only imagine. You've been going for a long time, man. This is amazing. All the speakers today were just incredible so far. So, and I know there's more awesome ones to come. So,
absolutely, and I'm really excited. So far, I mean, again, I plan this to be international. I plan it to be. I'm only going to choose people who are intelligent and very aware of their of what's going on in their perspective. You know,
Right.
where Dimitri's comes from is a little bit different than where Rabin comes from. It's a little bit different from where Naira comes from. You know, but each of them, as you have these people look at this same object in different angles, it becomes more and more of a real thing, you know,
Agreed.
to people. Because some people might not say that, for example, the New York Times was a horrible thing that they wrote. They'll just say it was pretty bad. And other
Right.
people will be like, "Are you kidding? It's miserable because of this, 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 and this."
Yep.
But to have that conversation is what I want. I want people internationally. And
Yep.
again, reminder to donate. And in my mind, more importantly,
Agreed.
spread this around the world right now. Share it to other people,
Yep.
especially people you don't even talk to that much. Like,
Yeah.
especially people that aren't in your community, that are in your community, your local communities. Hold on, there's a
New York is
siren
crazy
passing
right
by.
now.
New York is
Right
crazy.
now. Yeah, the
But
multiple
to go
perspectives
on,
is so important. So important.
exactly. And one thing that I think you can help provide is what exactly is going on. What who are the participants? Who are they really?
Yes.
Because we both know it's not Azerbaijan versus Armenia. It's
No.
that war would have been over in maybe 4.5 days, 5 days.
Easily. Easily.
But before that, and I love doing this. Who are you?
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you again, Sam, for having me on. My name is Adam Bowen. As you listed, originally from Philadelphia, but I live in New York now. Went to Camp Newbar for my whole life, passionately involved with being Armenian. In the last couple of years, I've really gotten even further involved. Joined the AGBU YP committee, also Knights of Vartan here at the Cathedral. So, I've been really getting to know more Armenians and be more further involved in the Armenian community. But I also do a lot of just international activism as well, things that even go beyond the Armenian cause, but basically to the cause of all people. So I think in a lot of ways, that was why, you brought me on to get like an even larger perspective of, this war and the other wars that have been going on around us and that have affected the whole world. Because I think that, the point that I'm going to try to get to by the end of this is that the war in Artsakh is a war really for the world to fight. And it affects the world in so many ways that, I think that we definitely need to touch on, because this is a way to have non-Armenians realize that this is not just an issue for Armenians. This is an issue for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But tell me specifically, who? Okay, so let's start with the lies. Let's start
Okay.
with the lies. What is the lie? The lie is that it's Armenia and Azerbaijan that are fighting over disputed land, and that they're both equal aggressors. That's the lie.
Yeah.
Why is it a lie?
It's a
Puncture
lie.
that.
Yeah, no, it's a lie because, again, if you have been watching the region around Armenia and around Azerbaijan, you can see a very distinct pattern. And that pattern is based out of Turkey. A neo-Ottoman empire is what Erdogan is hoping to recreate. This goes so much further beyond Armenia and Azerbaijan. In fact, unfortunately, Azerbaijan is being used as just a toy in this overall scheme of Erdogan to create this new Ottoman empire. And if you look at the territories that, Turkey is militarily involved in, it spans literally almost the entire ancient Ottoman Empire. So he is trying to further that original cause of the Ottoman Empire, which was to attempt to wipe out the Armenians, to have us lose our homeland and lose our culture. And so, to say as simply that this is a war over a piece of land, a small piece of land in what was originally Ottoman Empire, is just not the case. This is a war for Armenians. This is a war for our existence once again. This is not just a war for Artsakh. This is a war for our existence, our culture, and our heritage, and all of our ancestral lands. And this is also really a war that even goes beyond just Armenians. That, as I said, this is a war the world is going to have to face the same way they did for the last 10 years since the Syrian civil war started, because what happened there has bled into the rest of the world and had a major impact on it. So, right now, Artsakh becomes the new battleground in a lot of ways for this war against, neo-Ottomanism and really terrorism. And we are now, as you know, and as we're going to talk about it, we are now facing that same evil that has been, basically being sent all over the region by Erdogan in order for him to try to create this new Ottoman Empire that very much is no good for the entire world.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the phrases you used is, and again, whenever you see me like look down, it's because I'm writing down, because some of you guys, you say some things and I'm like, I need to word it that way because that's a more precise thing. And as a writer, this gets me both insecure and excited. So, unfortunately, Azerbaijan is just a toy for Erdogan to create his neo-Ottoman empire. I think you're 100% right. I mean, there's been, and you're mentioning what happened in 2011 at the Arab Spring conflict. I think.
Yeah.
Tell us what the similarities are, who's being used, and maybe talk about the other communities that are in danger, whether it's over the last decade or that's coming up right now, or
Absolutely.
that has been happening in the last week.
And will potentially, unfortunately, be under threat. The other communities that have not been, but will be if this continues. So this story, unfortunately, and I'm going to be very quick. This story is an old and sad one. I mean, the start of the civil war, we had the revolution in Syria that unfortunately was thwarted by those who are called the Free Syrian Army. These are the members that are being sent to Artsakh now to fight against Armenia. But where their story begins was, when they first defected, they were the main opposition against the Assad regime, attempting to overthrow Assad. The United States and the West even backed them. They supported them with money and funds and weapons in order to topple the Assad regime. It was only about a year or two later where they were dropped by the United States and the West because horrible war crime violations were coming out from the controlled territories. They were being found guilty of humanitarian crises all over the region. And what really started to emerge was the reality that this is an extremist group. This is not an opposition group. The same way that they are being called mercenaries now, these are not mercenaries. These are extremists. And the quote that I've been reading and believe that is best applied here is that a sword under any other name cuts just as deep. And you can play this.
It's very Shakespearean.
Yeah, I know, but it's the truth. You can play this name game all you want, Erdogan, but it doesn't change who you're sending. So around the time that the Kurds in Syria were beating ISIS, they were being backed by the United States. The United States had switched over to fighting with their more effective, more moderate allies, which is the Kurds and the YPG. Russia and the Assad regime was pummeling the Free Syrian Army. Now, when they started to lose, and ISIS completely lost their territory, as we know, when the Free Syrian Army started to lose, they held on to a little bit of territory. And this is where Erdogan and this is where Turkey enters into the conversation. They see this failing state in the Free Syrian Army, and they see all of these other extremist fighters that are no longer having a home in the region, but with the same ideology. And so they open the door in order for these guys to join the newly Turkish-backed Free Syrian Army. And when they do that, you now have a collection of ex-ISIS fighters, ex-Al-Qaeda fighters, and all other extremist groups from the region that all came under this one single banner, this Turkish-backed Free Syrian Army. And what they cleverly did, and this is why I say the name game, is what they realized is the Free Syrian Army had on their record an incredible amount of human rights violations. So how can you justify it?
Endless.
How can you justify you're backing this extremist terrorist organization? You cannot. So what they do, that's why when you read into it, they're now called the Syrian National Army, which sounds fantastic, right? Doesn't that sound very,
It sounds like people protecting their land. It sounds like something you can get behind.
Exactly. And so when they made this name change, that's when you saw, as you alluded to, we saw this going into northern Syria to commit ethnic cleansing against the Kurds.
We have, by the way, underneath John Baboyan from Boston, who's giving the hand clap, saying 100% correct. I mean, we both know John has served, and he's heard many stories, and
yes,
definitely firsthand experience with understanding how some of these things play out.
Yes.
So just to let you know that's happening while you're speaking.
And those who have been involved, served or have been paying attention to the military situation over there, they've noticed this pattern. So, what's happening is Erdogan is now using this extremist ideology, these incredibly dangerous human beings, and he is sending them all over the region. They are in Iraq, they're in Syria, they're in Libya, and now they are in Artsakh under the same banner of, freeing and protecting the people, as you said, which is just simply not the case. This is ISIS by any other name, and that is just the truth. We've seen evidence of it. They freed ISIS soldiers that were imprisoned in Kurdish prisons in Syria. Turkey, bombed the prison until it was literally able to walk in, and they let over 800 ISIS soldiers out, who almost all immediately joined the Free Syrian Army. So these are the guys that we are facing in Artsakh. And that, changes the narrative. A mercenary is highly different than a well-trained ISIS fighter.
Yeah. I wish more people knew even a quarter of what you said, even even slightly reduced amount of what you said. I really do, because there's a reason why this isn't necessarily guns being aimed at other people with guns. There's a reason why people are, doing the things they're doing. Like, tell us what are some of the things that because I don't want to talk too much. What are some of the things that are being promised to these mercenaries? Or sorry, not these mercenaries. These ISIS jihadists. Right. These ultra extremists. These people who are the fingers of Erdogan. And he's used it in multiple countries. Again, it's not just Armenia. It's not just Artsakh. It's not just Syria. This is going to be everywhere, including in Greece. We already see it in little pieces in France. We see it in what happened in Austria recently. Is indoctrinated in Turkey. Like this happened in Turkey. This is a thing. It needs to be stopped by everyone. Everyone needs to stop this now. It's not just about saving Armenia. Of course, it is about, to some degree, saving Armenia and saving Artsakh and saving these innocent people. But the other side is not an equal aggressor. They are a monstrosity. 100%. They are a monstrosity. So tell us, what are some of these things that these mercenaries, again, sorry.
It's okay. We use that term for, people that have not been, they don't know the details, as you said. It's better to use that term so they know who we're referring to, and we'll explain exactly what that means, But
tell me, what are these extremist psychopaths? What are they being paid extra to do? And how are they being paid? 1, 2, what are they being paid to do? And 3, are they actually doing those things?
Yep. It's a great question. And they're being promised a number of things. On one hand, they are being promised money, as we talked about, with $1,200 to $2,000 per month for leaving Syria to go fight in Artsakh against Armenia. So there's a financial incentive, obviously, especially coming from a place like Syria. And honestly, as we need to also point out, these are not just Syrians. These are extremists from all over the world Pakistan, that are right now in Artsakh. It is not as simple as just Syria. But they're also being promised something more, something much more dire. And what that is Erdogan, in reality, just as Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi did for ISIS, is promising a caliphate, a new nation. And again, you and I have spoke this. Unfortunately, this is the extreme version of this religion. This is not at all speaking to all of our Muslim brothers and sisters that are showing so much love and support for
100%. There's extremist Christians too. I mean, the Crusades.
This is the extreme version, unfortunately. But the reality is they are promising a caliphate. They are promising a new Islamic state under Sharia law. And this is something that is so important for us to realize. And same with the West, is that, this means what they're promising is no more Christians, okay? No more Jews, no more Hindus, no any other religion besides this extreme version of Islam, because
exactly. I was going to say no more Arabs, no more Muslims. Like that's what it means too. Like no more Muslims who don't fall into that particular extremely narrow, extremely dangerous, and honestly extremely short-lived, because that's not going to. That would burn out that level of animosity.
Right. Because Turkey, for all those years, for over 2,000 years, they were the caliphate, and the Sultan was caliph. He was in charge of the Muslim world. So Erdogan is saying, we are going to bring those days back to you, those extreme days back to you. I'm promising you more than money. I'm promising you a reign of power. But as you said,
Yeah.
that is short-lived, because what that does is that threatens the rest of the world. You know, you were talking, so it's so important for us to then spread this news to the other parts of the world, that when Erdogan makes direct threats against France, 2 days later, there's a major attack. You know, when he says that all of the West in Europe is going to be threatened, and then the attack in Vienna happens.
Or when he says, or you know, 2 years ago when he said that, or 3 years ago, that if Europe continues to condemn some of the actions that Turkey's doing, no Westerner, no European will walk Western streets safely. Western, their own home.
That's a direct assault. That's a direct attack. That's why Macron is treating it the way that he is that they are under siege. And the reality is that they are. When ISIS was in its full reign, the world saw terror. And so what the world needs to understand is why Artsakh becomes a new battleground. The more places that this extreme ideology has space to grow, the more terror will spread to the rest of the world. I mean, I do not think it's a coincidence that they gain a new stronghold in a new country and that they become even further emboldened. You know, I mean, it will never stop with just Artsakh. It will never stop with just the Middle East. Their goal is never to stop there. So the world needs to understand that the sad reality is that the more that Erdogan grows this, the more the world will be under threat. And
which is why we need to sanction Turkey, and every single company that works with Turkey must be boycotted. Every single company that sells weapons in some sort of way, Garmin, any company that to some degree distributes the technology that will be fitted into their drones, must be boycotted. And not just like you're bad for doing that. Boycotted. Boycotted. They need to be stopped.
Kicked out of NATO. I mean, these countries that they sell Turkey these weapons, in reality, they're hurting themselves. You know, they're actively hurting themselves. You're emboldening.
You're going to go right back to them.
It circles right back to you. I mean, there are companies in the West, obviously, as we know, the United States, Britain, who sells weapons directly to Turkey. Those same weapons found their ways to the battlefield in Syria and fought and shot at American and Western-backed allies. So we provided the weapons to Turkey, just like we're providing the weapons to Turkey and Azerbaijan now to then kill Armenians, to kill innocent civilians. So the dollar simply can no longer be worth more than blood anymore. We just do not have the opportunity. They just cannot, you know, and that's what some of these companies value more. But what it does is it comes back on them eventually. It just will.
It does. Even if they don't know about it, even if they're not privy to it, they need to be, these companies that work with Turkey need to be held accountable. Just, you know, I think the next campaign we got to do is, did you know that, and you put the company's name, did you know supports Hitler?
Right.
And then underneath, it's like, well, the 21st century Hitler.
Right.
And, you know, that's the kind of thing you need. Tell us more, though. Tell us more about what else are they promised in terms of the financials? Like, I hear things about trophies that they that they get. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Just like all of the other elements of this, this is an orchestrated thing. Erdogan has, these trophies have been happening all over the region as well, unfortunately. So Sam, our heads are worth $100 to Erdogan and Aliyev right now. If one of their soldiers decapitates and takes the head of an Armenian, it is worth $100. Ears are trophies as well. So there is literally an incentive. And as you spoke about yesterday, because of our infidel nature, because of us being Christian, it is that we are infidels. So that's why
Kefir, right?
Kefir, yes, exactly.
So you taught me that word yesterday, and this is again the importance of doing these kind of things, and why everyone should be once again send this to all your friends, all of your friends, and encourage them to do so, because you won't get this level of information together condensed. It's not a common thing to have 8 people who have unique perspectives about what's going on in one group.
And I've heard so much. I've learned so much in just hearing the other people speak. So it's been really great for me I'm learning a ton as well, for sure.
Oh yeah, you still have 6-7 minutes. So don't go
Well, no,
anywhere.
I was gonna say that, like, you know, it's good that, you know, we all are coming from different areas of knowledge, and I think that I'm learning a ton, and I think that yes, the reason this message needs to be spread, you know, right now, especially because, you know, what you're talking about, these trophies, these incentives, this is really the core of the evil of of the earth. You know, I mean, when somebody's life is worth money over their religion, that is a, you know, a home base of evil and terror that is basically unparalleled. And, you know, and this is why we are trying so loudly to scream to the world, you know, sanction Turkey, stop them, because they are pushing these types of narratives and agendas. I mean, when you have a command to take the ears or the head off of an Armenian, I'm going to be honest with you, I think we know who that's coming from. That's coming from Erdogan. That's because he's been commanding the same thing from his troops and these troops all over the other regions of the world. And it's not just Christians. Kurdish head is worth the exact same, you know, and you know, and I'm going to have to give
That I didn't know. I
yeah,
didn't
no,
know.
it's a Greek, a Kurd, all of these supposed infidels, because they do not follow the exact, you know, to the law religion.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense from their monstrous perspective, their
Yep.
demonic view of things.
Yep, they do. And, you know, we are, and what I would, you know, also want to push, you know, is that we are not alone in this fight. You know, luckily we have supporters both in the diplomatic world, and we have supporters, you know, even that are boots on the ground in the other countries. You know, I have close relationships with a lot of Kurds who are fighting this same fight and have been for a number of years. You know, they've been at war with Erdogan, and they've been facing ethnic cleansing under Erdogan's rule for years now, and they support us. In fact, there is a battalion of Armenians there. Their name is the Nubar Ozanyan Battalion. They are fighting alongside with the Kurds against Turkey in Syria, because there were a number, and I spoke about this in my speech, there was an Armenian priest who was executed by the Free Syrian Army.
He was on his way to
check on the status of his church with his father, and in his car, the Free Syrian Army stopped him and gunned him down in the streets simply for being an Armenian priest. And it was then that the Armenians of Aleppo and the region around it joined with the Kurds and realized that the fight is all of ours, the way it is in
father
Artsakh,
and
the
son,
way it is, the way it is now. I mean, we have Yazidi Muslims fighting on the front lines in Artsakh because it is their homeland as well. We are a shared community, and I think we all need to remember that we have allies, because it is the same enemy for all of us.
Tell me, I have two last questions.
Yeah.
One, tell me a little bit more about how this is. So you're saying that this is an international issue. This is an issue of anyone who doesn't agree with cutting my head off for $100.
Then you're, yep.
If you don't fit in that category, you can't be part of this club. And this club is going to be spreading. That's literally their goal.
That's the narrative.
So tell me about some other places. Tell me about Rojava. Tell me about Libya. And then the last question I'm going to have for you, I'm going to tell it to you now so the subconscious starts thinking about it, is why is donating so important for this particular war? Why is that such an important thing to do? So first, what happened in Rojava, Libya, and you know, any other place you want to slump into that group of people who have been affected by these individuals?
Of course. Well, you know, just to first touch on Libya, you know, again, the civil war over there, Erdogan saw nothing but an opportunity. So he saw a vacuum and he filled it. And he sent the Free Syrian Army to go against the Western and American already supported current elected president of Libya, and now he is waging a whole other full-scale war there, again, for him, because he claims those are Ottoman ancestral lands. As crazy as it sounds, the claims that this guy has, that this is also Turkish land, which is obviously so far off. So he has sent them there. Rojava is actually the term for northwestern Syria. It's Kurdish-controlled northwestern Syria. At one time, Turkey, ISIS, the Assad regime, they were being surrounded and attacked. They formed groups, and they have defended themselves and the Armenians and Greek and Yazidi populations there. They're a democratic group of people. They are a feminist group of people that have been self-governing themselves and basically fighting the lowest level of human being on this planet, which is, you know, Turkey and ISIS. So, you know, they are a great testament to what we can aspire
Erdogan's
to.
Turkey.
Erdogan's Turkey. Yes, exactly. And that's very true. And I heard you speak earlier about that, because it is the government, not the people.
Yes.
And so they have been spread there. They are committing awful unspeakable war crimes to the innocent men and women in that region, especially. And it breaks my heart every day.
And it's clearly terror. It's clearly terror because
terror.
if you look at what terrorism means, terrorism isn't about destruction. Terrorism isn't even about killing. Terrorism is literally rooted in the fact of making individuals feel frightened and vulnerable. That is the essence of what terrorism is. So threatening, making people. I mean, the guy. One of the first times one of the first times in this conflict in Armenia, in Artsakh, where they cut off the man's head, and then they called his brother on the phone. They called his brother, and with the video camera on, where it was described as humiliating the head while calling him, and they just kept calling him. Like, I don't know, that would shatter my sanity.
Of course, and that's
I would immediately,
That's exactly what they want. And honestly, this perfectly speaks to your very last question, which was, you know, why is donating to Armenia, you know, something the whole world, you know, why is donating to help Armenia win something the whole world needs to do and hear? And it's because, exactly as you're saying, this is terror. This is terror. This is the spreading of terror. And, you know, for Armenia, we are suffering right now, but this terror has no intention of stopping. You know, to donate and to help Armenia win this war actually means the rest of the war and the rest of the world is helping us stop this terror from coming to them. We, as Armenians, are strong enough. We will carry this burden. We will put that weight on our shoulders. You just need to hear us. You need to help us. You need to understand the threat that we are facing, because we are willing to fight this war and we will win this war. We just need the help of the rest of the world to support us, because honestly, it's not going to stop with us. It hasn't stopped in the places it started, and it isn't going to stop with us. And we have to win. We will win this war.
And when it happens, when it's happening in Greece and France and Austria, it's already spreading. So this is something that you can stop at its root by helping Armenia, by helping Artsakh. You will help if you're in Europe, you will help your community by helping Artsakh. Because Artsakh will win. It's just about how many deaths, how many losses, how many war crimes, how many of all of these things before the world has the guts, the fucking courage. It shouldn't even be courage to report the truth. I mean, Dimitri had one quote that he said, and I had to write it down. He said, "It's unfortunate that these days telling the truth makes you different."
So true.
It's a miserable reality that he captures beautifully in that quote.
And just a final thing. You know, you just said it. This isn't this will come to you. This is to you now. This is at your door, and no matter what corner of the world you're in, it has come to you. So step up and stop it now. You know, just and donate and support and spread the information, as all the information, because it's going to save lives.
It will. Hak de Luink.
Hak de Luink, my friend. Thank you for having me on again.
You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend.
You got a lot of love. A lot of love.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And I appreciate it again. And thanks to everyone else who spoke and everyone else who tuned in and just spread the word. And Hak de Luink, we will win, my friend. We will.
Yes, we will.
Talk soon.
John.
Bye.
Peace. Such a like, you know, really jump into Adam's mind for a bit. He knows way more than what he's expressed here, because he knows that, you know, we only have 30 minutes and only a certain amount of that time can be dedicated to speaking about one particular issue or anything of that sort. But it's been very educational to have people around the world talking. And oh my God, who is this?
My brother, how you doing?
How are you, Johannes Jan?
I'm good, brother. How are you? What's happening over there?
Oh man, I am hanging on by a thread, but it is a strong thread right now.
Yeah, I just woke up and I think I caught was it Adam, your last presenter? I just caught a bit of his passionate speech. Absolutely.
Yeah. Tell us who you are first, where you are. I think they figured out where you are with that lovely accent. But tell us who you are, where you are, and you know what you do. Give us a little introduction to yourself.
So who I am, where I am, and what I do. So depending on what group I am in, I'm known as Johannes, Joey, Joe, Hovannes. There's a bunch of different names. And as you can probably tell, I live in Australia. I was born in Australia. And a little bit about me growing up, of course, obviously knowing that I'm Armenian in background, but not really embracing that identity. I didn't go to an Armenian school. I did go to of course, the Armenian church when there were services, those main services, Easter, Christmas, and then of course Benefactor's Day. But not really engaging in the Armenian community a lot. And then pretty much after I finished university, I really had this thirst to know more about my Armenian side. And so, of course, I went to Google and I was like, let's just go to Armenia and experience the country for myself. And then on the 10th page of Google, as I was looking for tours and groups, I found out about Birthright Armenia, applied for the program, got involved with, as you know, the Children of Armenia Fund, found out about my brothers and sisters there and their plight and their immense history. I fell in love with, of course, the country and the people. And the Children of Armenia with the Children of Armenia Fund. And then pretty much the rest has been history, just trying to come back to Australia, encourage everyone here to experience Armenia for themselves, and to get involved in any way, shape or form, whether in any organization that may be. There shouldn't be any divide.
Tell us also a little bit about what you do. I mean, like, your field. Because it would be good to know where you're kind of mentally coming from.
Yeah, of course. That's absolutely true. So day to day, I'm based at the University of Sydney. I'm currently completing my PhD in, I guess the overall topic is dementia, looking at specifically social cognition and the way that people, the elderly, perceive emotions and portray emotions. But specifically also those people that have Alzheimer's disease, how their social cognition is disturbed, and how we can potentially address that with some therapeutic compounds. And so the past 4 years, I've been leading a clinical trial with a few other, with my supervisors, of course, looking at oxytocin in a nasal spray to see if that can address not only these disturbed social cognition, but also to see if it can improve relationships with their caregivers. And then also drug. Now, yeah, the love drug. Sure. So from childbirth to social cognition to interpersonal relationships, it does it all. Yes. And then of course helping out, actually working now with this initiative known as the Australian Dementia Network, trying to streamline memory clinic guidelines and also assist. The thing that's very important is that in Western countries, I think generally in the world, we're living longer, and we're going to see an immense number. The number one burden to the healthcare budget that we already can manage. The system is already stretched.
As someone who knows quite a deal about psychology. Not me, you.
I think there's a mirror between us.
No. I wish I looked like that. In terms of psychology, what do you think goes on in the mind of, and maybe this is an impossible question. I mean, it is an impossible question to answer, but what goes on in the mind of people who support Aliyev, who support Erdogan, or in the minds of Erdogan and Aliyev? Like, what do you think goes on in their minds?
Well, in terms of Erdogan and Aliyev, it's that inability to relinquish power and control. I think it's that fast that they're on, and that they have to do everything possible either to maintain their image of their superiority, and of course create the conflicts of which they feel which they can prove to themselves that they're in control, that they're leading, that they're directing, and then of course if that's not working, making up the stories or making up a common enemy that supports their, I guess, their regime. But then also with the people, of course, not that I'm any expert, my belief is just that, unfortunately, is that they're trapped into an understanding where they know no better, or they haven't seen the other side, and it's just that propaganda that's being blasted towards them. I think as a scientist, you have to. The first thing you're told is objective evidence, both sides of the story. And even now today, no matter what, even in this conflict, as much as I'm of course waking up in the morning and looking at my Armenian sources, Yerevan Report, looking at Artsrun Hovhannisyan or Shushan Stepanian, I'm also throughout the course of the day finding myself on the Azerbaijan news sites, because I want to see what they're blasting out and seeing where the disconnect is. And I think in the cases of people living in Azerbaijan and Turkey, again, a lot of people, not everyone, I'm sure there are people and I've read reports that some people have caught on to the Aliyev dynasty and realized that a lot of this is just, in order to keep up the reputation and to keep them in power for as long as possible, or another play.
Well, that's the thing about lying. It has a lifespan.
It's very true, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, it does. And so that's pretty much. I think that was the last thing I was going to say.
No, sorry. It's just you. I mean, you brought up a phenomenal point about they're trapped in that in terms of any form of science or anything empirical, you have to look at as much evidence as possible in order for you to claim or even begin to claim objectivity. And the fact that you are looking at these, at least the media that they present, I think is commendable. I recommend it to everyone, but keep in mind that, you are going to be reacting emotionally to this kind of thing. I mean, I do this all the time. I mean, I am not a Trump supporter. I personally don't like Trump as a human. But that's not what I'm here to talk about or about who should win or anything, or whether or not I support who won. It's more of, I would spend a lot of time on websites that would talk about why people support him, or that would literally be projected from an angle in which they support him very much so. And it would be able to help me sharpen my own arguments. Same thing with the early stages of Black Lives Matter. I would look at, again, both sides and be like, okay, so how, Black Lives Matter to some degree has been demonized. I want to know why. And again, I'm not going to talk about the veracity of these things, but I will talk about how you can't get veracity, one, if you're not really looking at both sides, and two, more importantly, if your country's media is owned by your country and not by your people. Because then you don't give them the opportunity to see the entirety. You don't let them see the whole picture. And it is no surprise that when you indoctrinate people at such a young age, these kids, before they actually have the understanding of hate in its full capacity, or even in its adult capacity, are already feeling a discomfort at a group of people. Without knowing them, without seeing them, without interacting with them. It's a pretty amazing thing. It's the least objective thing you could possibly do. Tell someone to hate someone else as a child.
Yeah.
Because then you deny them some ability to eventually get an other side objective evidence.
That's right. That sponge term, that children are sponges, there's, of course, you don't want to take that too seriously, but in some sense, it's very true that, at a young age, if you bring up a person in a certain way, they will adopt it and they will emulate it. And so it's very sad.
Yeah. I mean, Naira had, again, one of my favorite quotes. I was asking her, like, is this a movie condemning Azerbaijan? She was like, it's more about the war. And I was like, well, that's crazy that they don't want people to see Artsakh and stuff, and she was like, yeah, they don't want that awareness. Like, what a great quote. They don't want that awareness. That was Naira who said that. my notes are too far away and my eyes are like bleeding
Yeah,
from
of
looking at
course.
screens all day. But it's just a fascinating thing, especially talking to one, someone in psychology, two, someone who's a scientist, three, someone who's a researcher, and four, someone so handsome. But those first three things,
I
like,
love you.
do you not get like almost like the scientist in you, the psychologist in you, the researcher in you, does it not kind of just like fold under such an inverted reality?
Wow, what a way to put it. It it baffles my mind. It baffles, you know, it's I have a lot of throughout the day I spend myself just quietly reflecting and the whole situation just it's unfathomable. I sometimes I find it hard to even express it into words, just that other side and just how uh, you know when which if I can just quickly skip to this for a second. When you look at the Armenian side, when we're talking just about media, I can't express um, my awe in terms of Nicole Pashinyan giving time to reporters from all different walks of life in terms of Jetzt Media in Germany or whatever it may be, or even like Al Jazeera and all these international organizations, so that the message in all way, shape, or form gets out there. And then in Azerbaijan, when you read that state-controlled media group, and you just see just even the wording of it, how how incorrect it is, and how one-sided it is, and how Armenophobic it is. That's where definitely just I can't comprehend that.
Well, I mean, to quote my father, you know, knowledge can't exist in a vacuum because it dies. Knowledge by
Mm,
itself dies. You need to exchange knowledge in order for it to evolve and grow and expand and proliferate. Uh, and that's my dad's quote. And you know, being the founder of Co-op and being someone who you know told me like you should be an educator because that to me is the equivalent of a doctor. As a doctor works on the body, the teacher works on the mind. Um,
100%.
and I'm just fascinated at how in Armenia we're not taught to cut off anyone's head. We're not taught to murder anyone.
No,
We're taught of the murders that happened unto us, but we're not taught that hatred. We're not taught that evil. We are
mm,
reminded that we were starved through deserts, some of us having to be naked while walking through the burning deserts. We remind us about the history of genocides, not just the Armenian genocide, but
absolutely.
you know when Armenians hear genocide or mass killing or Holocaust, our ears prick up. You know, this is why a lot of Armenians I know, at least on the east and west coast of the United States, are huge advocates. And this isn't again a left versus right issue. Like I know people who are pretty big Trump supporters
Mm,
who, whenever they can, they fight for causes. They fight for people to be able to operate their small businesses against the corporation that's trying to subsume them because they're very anti that. And like there's Armenians like that, and there's a you know you don't have to be slapped around to be against violence. You don't have to be a victim of domestic abuse to be
not at all.
vocal about domestic abuse. So I hope that people see all the things that are going wrong because of Erdogan across the world, not just in Armenia. But if you do zoom in on Armenia, and this is again, I think what Naira and Adam said, the amount of human rights abuses, like
Exactly.
the war crimes, burning down forests with white phosphorus, which burns for a long time, and you've seen maybe the picture of it, the guy's back just checkerboarded with wounds that look like
I
they go
woke up
so
this
deep.
morning with that image.
It's so hard. I mean, I wish I could like trade something to have this month erased.
Mm,
This now 6 week, officially 6 weeks today. I wish I could like exchange with something, you know, like if I could cut off my left hand and now it's September 20. We'll go even back further. We'll say it's 2019. For it to be 2019 again, and it's not because of the shittiness of 2020. It's because of this. 2020 has been garbage. But let's not forget July. They weren't attacking they were attacking Artsakh, but they were also firing at Tavush. It's 150 kilometers northwest from the disputed lands. And what were they shooting at? They were shooting at a kindergarten and a PPE facility. These are civilian structures. This is not a war. It's not a war. It is an attempted genocide that Turkey and Azerbaijan are doing together.
That's right. Orchestrated by Turkey and then puppeted by Azerbaijan. I think, I also was thinking, and this, I don't know if we want to get to the next question, but I was thinking about why this whole thing is happening and how it can be happening. And as I look at the July conflict, I feel like it was a test to see how the international community will react, what things were in place, how Armenia will react, how there will be a call to arms or whatever it may be. And then as I think of this conflict now, and as I think of the Armenian genocide, especially for an Australian Armenian, in Australia, we take very seriously, rightly so, we take very seriously our Anzacs. The Australians and New Zealanders, and of course, working with the Allied forces that fought in World War One, and we very much commemorate Gallipoli, in Western Turkey, the arrival of the armed forces there on the beaches there that were just mowed down, and we celebrated, if I'm not wrong, on the 25th of April every year, and it's no coincidence that this whole conflict, this deliberate attempt of exterminating ethnic Armenians has the same telltale signs of the Armenian genocide, in that, as World War One was in full flight and there was Gallipoli happening in the West, Armenians in the Gallipoli was happening in the West, Armenians and other Christian minorities were being exterminated. And now we have 2020 with all its problems. We have coronavirus, we have the US elections, and then what else do we got? We had, the world also
in 2020. Oh my God, so many things.
Got so many things, and then
massive wildfires. This year started with your continent on fire.
That's right, and then the floods afterwards, and
then we have our giant fires, and Brazil had its fires. And that's just one element. We can go to water and talk about floods afterwards. I mean,
for sure.
there's 2020 has been a metric fuck ton of garbage that has been spewing. But hopefully it changes. Hopefully I mean, we see certain things changing.
Yeah.
But I think you're 100% right. And please continue as to the parallels you're witnessing.
I was just going to end it by saying, in all of that, while the world is distracted with all these things, this deliberate attempt of exterminating the Armenians of Artsakh is taking place. And I think, unfortunately, and please don't take any offense to this, but the way that Western media is consumed with the US elections, from the last month until today, until next week, and maybe again in the new year when Biden gets finally put into power, they knew that, and they're using that so that the world doesn't speak up.
There's a book by New Zealand journalist James Robbins called When We Dead Awaken, coming out this week, about the ANZAC response to the Armenian genocide.
The committee here in Australia has been absolutely incredible. And actually, if I can say about all committees, one thing.
Oh, by the way, I'm not offended by you criticizing Western media. I know that was sarcastic, but for anyone who doesn't know your humor, I've protested, I think 3 times now, in front of Western media groups like ABC, NBC, and the New York Times, the failing New York Times, I I'm very ashamed. But tell me, you were saying that the media by you has been, or something, you've been very impressed with something in your community.
Oh, well, just yeah, the media definitely has been consumed in Australia by the US elections,
Oh, you too.
but
Okay.
absolutely, which is a bit moronic, I think. Just Australia, of course. Well, you know, I understand that everyone, America is still the apple of a lot of people's eyes, and the anyways, we won't go into that, but yeah, I think it's just sad that a humanitarian disaster and a genocide that is currently that is in the making is not receiving any attention. That breaks my heart. But what I was going to end on a positive note is that amongst all of this, all committees, you know, AGBU, ANCA, AYF, the Armenian Apostolic Church, Catholic Church, Evangelical Church, all Armenian organizations are working together for this common cause. Co-op, absolutely. And that's just amazing to see.
One Armenia, Armenia Fund, everyone, yeah.
Everyone, yeah.
I've never seen Armenians this together. I mean, I guess you know, two quotes come to mind. One is, I think it was either Aristotle or Plato, but it's basically a common enemy unites the bitterest of foes. Armenians aren't foes with one another, but Armenians are or can be very tribal, as many people can.
Absolutely.
But we've put, I think, a lot of groups that I would never see in the same room hug each other, and they're like, we will win this.
That's right.
And to go back to the question about the media, one thing that I really, there's an author I don't like who's very famous named Haruki Murakami. He's a Japanese writer. I don't like him. I don't think he's a good writer personally, or he doesn't speak to me at least. But he does have one of my favorite quotes, which is, if you read what everyone else is reading, you will think what everyone else is thinking. And at first it's like, yeah, of course, but then you walk away and the quote kind of sticks with you, and it's almost poisonous because it reminds you that, like, this sort of sheep mentality, this sort of, oh, everyone's looking that way, so there mustn't be anything this way. There's a legitimacy in how many people are looking at something, which is why you guys got to share it with everyone. Not you, but you too, actually, but everyone should be sharing this. In fact, every time there's a new speaker, I want you guys to open up that little triangle arrow thing, that paper airplane, click on it and invite every single person you can. Worst case, they ignore it.
I was so happy with this invitation of yours to join the interview that I just downloaded and signed up to Instagram. So I've got to familiarize myself with this app. So,
you're like the youngest Zerug I know.
I keep it to Facebook. I think that's well. But yeah, I've got to branch out a bit. Twitter, I think it's my next one.
Yeah.
Everyone keeps telling me I've got to get it.
Oh, I'll help you with that if you want, John.
Please.
You're an angel. I love you so much.
Are we over time? Oh
no, we have about 4 minutes left. 3-4 minutes left. I was going to ask you if you have any closing words. I mean, one thing that I wanted to ask you about, and we do have time for it, is, you know, what do you think people can do? What has been working in your mind?
Perfect. I was actually going to end with something that we can do. And it's, you know, people have been giving so generously in so many ways, financially, time, which is, of course, priceless. And one thing that I really want to encourage people now, if they do have the means to give financially, is to really, you know, there's two partners, you know, of course, there's the All Armenia Fund, Himnadram, and there's the other one, 1,000 plus that's really being communicated. And I think 1,000 plus, if you do have the ability to give financially, should definitely be considered.
Tell us more about 1,000 plus.
1,000 plus really is the insurance for the soldiers. You know, those soldiers that have unfortunately lost their lives or are incapacitated or have in certain ways. They don't need to worry about how they're going to financially support themselves all their families. And the way it works, my understanding is that I think from 2017, every month there is a $2 tax that is levied on every taxpayer in Armenia, and it goes into this, I guess, this pool, which is extremely transparent. I've absolutely loved just going to the website and seeing how the compensations are made, when it's being made, and to who, and how much money is always left.
If I want to donate, not $2, but let's say $10 a month, what would I do? What would I do?
You would go to 1000plus.am, so 1000plus.am, and then
spell out plus or the actual plus symbol.
Spell out plus, plus, .am. And then, of course, depending on your language, I think majority of the languages are catered for. Change that language, change the language setting, and then they explain to you the process. But basically, it is that, and I calculated in American dollars, around 100, and over the course of 20 years, the family or the soldier is paid out 167,000 US dollars. It's I think there's a lump sum payment of 10 million dirham, and then I think 300,000 dirham every month for the next 20 years. And you can imagine.
And that's if we donate to that $2 a month thing, which is
so
one,
I think
one sixth or 1/7 the price of Netflix.
Absolutely nothing. A coffee once a month that you would get. I don't know what Starbucks is now at $6.
It's like $50 for a sip.
For a sip, yeah. So if to all the viewers out there, of course I have the greatest trust that everyone's been giving wherever they can. But if
you already have a few new friends on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on
bless you all.
They're saying get Twitter. Get Twitter. I guess Instagram isn't as popular. Maybe I'm the Zeru.
Maybe. No, I don't think so. Okis John. Oh, it's so good to see you, brother.
You too. So many people I meet, they're like, it's weird that we're meeting under these circumstances. And I'm like, yeah, it is. War. It's like, when you meet someone, especially like every single person here, they're so beautiful, like inside and out. And you're like, so you saw the video of the pigs eating the people in the field. And I'll literally be thinking to myself, this is the 20th sentence they've ever said to me. The 20th sentence they've ever said to me is, did I watch a dead soldier, Azeri soldier, or one of our soldiers, or one of the ISIS militants, jihadists being eaten? That's the 20th sentence that they'll say to me. And I mean, I don't think anyone else thinks like this. I do because, again, I'm out of my mind, and much worse these days. But it's just wild. It's so wild that this is, especially when you're meeting these Armenians from all around the world, which I've had the privilege of doing. And Dimitris counts as Armenian for anyone who's like, he's Greek Armenian to us now. He was our first speaker. He was probably, what was it? It was probably like 7 a.m. for you.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, I was still in bed.
Still snoozing.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, you're amazing, John. I love you. And I really hope that and feel that the next time that you and I see each other, whether it's in person, dancing with the kangaroos, or you're here dancing with the street rodents, we will be in a much better time, and that we will be deciding how we're going to rebuild.
Absolutely. I think I look forward to that. All of us, manpower, financial power, rebuilding,
because we're fighting for something.
That's right. Achtaluink, Ahmed.
Achtaluink. Ciao, John.
See you, brother.
Like one of the sweetest people ever. Johannes is just amazing. I mean, I pitched some of the sentences of the psychology stuff I'm writing to him, and he responds back so quickly, even though he lives on a totally different continent, almost exact opposite time as me. You just think about all the people coming from around the world. It's pretty fascinating. Like, there's Armenians, the diaspora, all around the world. And speaking of all around the world, now we have Sao Paulo in the house.
Hello, hello. Boa noite or
How
good
are you,
evening
Jen?
to some of you or good afternoon to some others.
Hi, how are you, Jen? Is
I'm
it
fine. Yeah.
we can say Bari Ereko, Bari Kished, Bonsoir. Who else was here? I forgot how to say good night in Greek. I know good morning is Kalimera. Um, so tell us who you are, where you are, even though I said it already, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great. So I'm Natalia Hazayan. I'm from Brazil. And before saying a bit more about who I am, I just wanted to thank you for this invitation. And it's really a great initiative. And thanks everybody who's watching this right now, because this is really important and we're having different perspectives on the subject. So it's all very urgent. So thanks for being here. And well, what can I say? I work in the marketing and branding field. I've been working also with the sustainability and a bit of even human rights in the past. And I'm now head of marketing and branding in a fintech. Olivia AI basically uses artificial intelligence to understand people's consumer behaviors and try to make them spend smarter or like do better with their budget.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also part of the AGBU Brazil team. Very honored to be part of the directory board, representing the comms team. And lived in Armenia in the past for a couple of months. We're actually met Hovannes that was just talking with you, and been to Artsakh twice or so, and yeah, it's we're trying to keeping up with everything that's happening. And
So to put it short, you're an amazing human who had the privilege of meeting another amazing human like Johannes.
exactly, he, as you said, one of the kindest people that I've known. He's a great person, and
He
I was
is
very,
such a sweetheart.
yeah.
Yeah, you were
And
very
that
sorry.
No, it was good when we met, even in his wedding party, right? When I saw you there as well last year, which kept me thinking so much about how exactly 1 year ago that all of this is happening right now. 1 year ago, we were basically in some of the roads that are right now under risk, right? We were traveling in Armenia. It
Yeah.
was so like it's a bit of mind blowing to think in all of this. And
Tell
um,
us more about that. Tell us more about what Armenia is, what Armenia was becoming 1 year ago, compared to what picture that these, well, we already know what the Azeris think of us, but when you are looking at Armenia, I've been asking people what's going on, what is this war about? Tell me a little bit about Armenia, because I think when we think about the successes and the what has happened in Armenia recently, meaning in the last 2 years, or at least since April 2018. Like what has Armenia become? What was it becoming, or it will continue to become? But what was it evolving towards? And if you can move a little closer to wherever your Wi-Fi is, that would be helpful too.
okay, um, I'll try to do that, but let me know if it's really not working properly.
No, it's
And
okay. It's okay. It's just occasional pixelation. That's okay.
okay, I'll try to work on something here. But basically, yeah, so I think I have to do a disclaimer here. We're all Armenian, so it's obviously it can be a bit biased. I think it's important to say that, especially working on
Yes.
communications field. But trying not to be biased, let's base ourselves on facts. Now, in all of our history, we had so much struggle. We had so much pain. We suffered so much. So much was taken off from us. And we manage every time to keep ourselves united. And I think it's important to say that not only united as a group of people, but that want something and isn't united among themselves, but we also, I mean, we never disrespected as a group of people another rights of another group of people, right? We are like every example that I've been seeing, and even from international sources that are being very like even in superficial coverage, the things that I know that are lies, okay, I'm not considering, but the things that are reported from Armenia, it's always like proactively investing in education and technology and being open, and then an open country, inviting people to know a bit more about us. And we know that we had some difficult times in terms of politics. There are some issues with corruption, but I think we had so many good steps on that subject. Like 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, we were being elected by The Economist as the country of the year because we had this beautiful Pacific revolution, the Velvet Revolution. And oh my God, I just kept seeing the news and I said, okay, I'm just going to fly to Armenia because I want to participate in that moment. Everybody was cheering and being such a peaceful moment together. And I think that represents a lot of Armenianness, being able to express our culture, being able to be together, be like human beings, you know. We're not heavy. We are heavy because of our story, but the seeds that we're planting in general, they're very like light and beautiful. So this is my perspective of a bit of where we were going to.
And where we will continue going to when this is over, Che.
Exactly. Yeah. So and we are doing this right now. So I get very connected and moved by when I see some content related to what's happening right now. In fact, I see that we're playing music inside of churches that were destroyed. We are dancing, we're singing, and I think this overall expresses so much of who we are. Whenever people are violent with us, our way to respond is we are defending ourselves. We are doing what is necessary. We are there together, but we are also being what we know, who we are. That is this group of people that likes art, likes to express ourselves in a good, beautiful way, constructive way, not destructive.
And to build and to create. I mean, I think of last year at the WCIT conference, you know, we had people from all around the world come to Armenia for this tech conference. And it was fascinating to be sitting in the middle of, standing in the middle of Harabarag with some of the Armenians that, you know, I've known my whole life in New York City, with some people that I met in Armenia in the last decade. And, you know, a bunch of other people, and to be hearing Armin van Buuren blasting and getting everyone on their feet. And then there's a conference, and then Sibu Simonian, the phenomenal human who I love, and I'm going to try and invite him again. Sibu, did you see did you see the artist for Artsakh?
Yes.
Did you see his part?
I haven't yet. I think we talked a bit about.
It was yesterday. Phenomenal. He did Safe and Sound, and he had a compilation of some of the things that have happened. The media that's literally brand new, a week old, 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old, and like you see the soldiers arm in arm singing, and like you see the mothers, you know, and like I watched it, and because you know you wanna present everything to the world. You want to become, you know, we're all together like journalists. I said this yesterday, like we're journalists, we're marketers, we are like to some degree like fundraisers. We are so many different things at one time, at this time, because we feel impassioned and so incentivized to help and come together. And I took a video and I flipped it to myself, and you see the music video starting, and I knew I was about to cry, so I turned the camera to myself and I was like, you see, just I'm crying. Like this is what's happening. You know, I wouldn't normally broadcast a picture or a video of me getting shaken, which I'll openly admit I've cried more in the last year than I have in the rest of my life combined, every other year combined in my life, or in the last month especially. So let me ask you, related to crying and cheering and working together and building, what do you see people doing that has been successful, and what do you think what else do you think we can and should and must do?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it's such a huge problem, and we have to face it and fight against it. And there are some things happening in São Paulo. I've been following up the world, basically, but I think there are some things that we've done here, and I myself participated in some, have not participated in others, but supported or in a certain way. And the thing is that all the manifestations, all the gatherings are so important, and they for sure help to raise awareness. And not only that, but they help to send a bit of strength to the people in the other side of the world, right? To see that all the global community is united for you, for Artsakh, for Armenia. But besides that, we took a step that we honestly didn't have in the past, that is structuring our PR efforts. So this is something that had made us, gave us a lot of big impacts, and basically it started in July because, and regardless if the international community completely ignored what happened, but we did have an attack to the Armenian Republic. So we understood that, hey, there is a big tension here, and we don't know whatever can happen in the future. So
What it'll evolve into, yeah.
Exactly, and they targeted civilian infrastructure, and we have to be prepared to share this in a structured way with the media, with the press. So we started talking to some agencies and some professionals in the field, and I know that a lot of places in the world already have this team, but we had some things that even can, I don't know, maybe ideas that could optimize the places that already work with this, and maybe sending this, sharing this example of things that work for us. And we were on some conversations, and with September, we made it official that we really needed to start positioning ourselves in the press. And basically that helped us so much. Like, we had examples of, having a 5-minute coverage with videos that we recorded in one of the main TV news channels, and that was awesome. And then, we saw this first wave of everything that was being covered was so superficial that we all faced it at some point in the international news. But at the moment that we started feeding the journalists, creating those relationships, and it was very positive that we became a reference in such a short period of time. They actually reached out to us to understand if we had context for interviews, if we had more videos with families that were impacted, or if we even had a bit more history of what happened, because, hey, you're talking to a journalist that has to write about several different type of topics in a day or in a week, and you just have to make the life of the journalist a bit easier and educate with the right messages in the right time.
The way I say it is, you have to build the shortest possible bridge of understanding for people. The shorter the bridge, the more you'll reach people. The simpler it is for people to grasp, And a lot of that has to be relatable. You have to make it as relatable as possible. If you say there's this group of people you've never heard of being attacked, you just be like, yeah, it sucks. The world sucks. But if you let them understand the degree, the severity, the connection, the potential of it, that's very important. And the information war is a very real thing, and we very much have to follow your example and find these PR companies and work with these media agencies or reach out to these media agencies to condemn ones that seem hopeless, like the New York Times, for us at least, and to be persistent. You have a comment from Natalia from also from Sao Paulo, awesome human. Right now, there is a phone-a-thon from All Armenia Fund, Himnadaram, going on to raise funds right now, this evening and this week in Sao Paulo. So
Exactly.
that's a testament to this. Like that's the kind of things we should be doing. And Aram Bowen, two guests before you, was talking about how it is essential that we fundraise. Like it is very much essential. The Armenians, there's 4 or 5 times as many Armenians living outside of Armenia than there are inside of Armenia. So Armenia is everywhere. I'm trying to think of who said it yesterday. It might have been Sergo, but it's that Armenia playing chess. Fighting against Armenia is, and he was quoting this person whose last name was Pound, I remember, but it was essentially warring against Armenia is like playing chess against someone with 2 queens, because there's the queen of the diaspora and there's the queen of Armenia, Yev
Exactly. We're a great asset, Armenia.
Yeah, and I mean, it because the first thing a lot of my friends do, and I do, when I wake up, before anything else, I check my phone, immediately go to that particular app and go to that particular site and immediately read everything that I missed while I was asleep, and the soldiers were while the soldiers were defending their home. And it really is amazing. Tell me, because you're a very active person in the community, what are some things that you see, some other things you're seeing that people are doing that is really working, that is getting people together and working?
Yeah, so we had some manifestations which were all very important, and I highlight the last one. It was, I forgot the name in English, but it was everybody was on their cars and with the flags and everything, and they had a detailed path in the city, and it was something very well structured. They had enormous digital signs and trucks that with some phrases and some messages. We walked through.
It sounds like a cavalcade.
Yes, it was a motorade. I don't remember the name, but it's something like that. I try to see the translation.
Motorcade, yeah.
Motorcade, yeah, similar. And
so tell us about that. What was that like? Where were they? How many people were there? What was the goal of it? And also, how did you get it done? How was it accomplished? Because that's what people need. They need a map for them to do this too. Because some people feel like they can, they just don't know if they're the right ones. We need them to skip that kind of cognitive bullshit and do it. I mean, we have friends all over who are the first time they've ever done something like this, have led, pioneered, flag-beared immense things in New York, in LA, everywhere. So tell us a little more.
Yeah, so it was really like getting your hands on something like we have to have a truck. Let's have like it was. We didn't have to have any specific permissions on the city to work on that truck specifically with the sign. So like everybody was united. This was something very integrated in the communities. Like we had we had Surpazan in the church, and we had the Armenian club, and we had AGVU, and we had a lot of people just summing up with in this effort. And basically, we had hundreds of participants, and with the cars, it got so much more volume, let's say. And with all the flags, it was something very visible. We were walking in the main streets, and there was a starting point, there was an end point, and that end point, we had some, actually, I believe it was in both, but I remember in the end point, we had some coverage in the media as well. So we had some TVs.
Send me that, please. I want to see that.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
Natalia Mekbekyan says we had a great car rally, over 400 cars. That's phenomenal. Didn't realize it was to that level. That's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it from the angle of some of the people in Armenia. I mean, I speak to people from Armenia maybe 7, 8 times a day, and they say, like, just like we see what you guys are doing, and like thank you, thank you for what you're doing, because the world isn't listening to us. We feel like sometimes we're alone. We feel like this, but then we see what's happening in everywhere, in Buenos Aires, in Cordoba, in literally in cities in Greece, in London, a lot in London. It's pretty amazing.
It's intense,
How did you
yeah.
do
And
it though?
I get excited every time that I see stories from Little Armenia's page or any other page that is covering international movements. But I mean, when I see everybody like synchronized and doing the same movement, the same effort in different places, it's so powerful. It's so much strength. And yeah, this is the diaspora sending awareness, love, and donations, and it's very important. Yeah. So
If you had to say in a few sentences, how do you accomplish something like that? Like, what is like the bulleted list of the things that you have to check off to accomplish something like that car rally?
yeah, so you have to have material, and this is one that I am not directly involved with, and this is really something that I'm just translating the things that I've seen the community doing. But basically, we had you have to have material for that. So in the starting point, you have to deliver things to people like flags, masks, everything with like T-shirts. People could even buy T-shirts. Everything would be donated. And you have to prepare that visual material. The more you have, the better. And when you see a lot of cars with the same types of flag, like same sizes and everything, it's so much powerful. So everything was molded to be and put it in the car. And you
So
have to
collect
have
large groups, to collaborate, ensure that the visuals, the aesthetics, the chants, all of those things are uniform.
Yeah, so it maybe even one step before that. So if it's something like this big, what would you do? Like the first thing, I think we have to unite with all the parts of the community, right? It's not something that like one organization would do or another, but it's something that put everybody together and say put responsibles for the things, right?
Yes.
Delegate. So everybody would say, I could do this, I could do that. So with that said, so you have to have this visual material that would be delivered or shared or being sold in the beginning of this rally. You would have to have a path that would be shared, and the first cars would have to make sure that they are following the right path, so nobody gets confused. You have to share that with the media because something big is happening, and you would like not only to share but also to be prepared to be interviewed, right? So the one that I've seen is Heiga Povian, president here in AGVU, Brazil. He had 30 seconds and a bit more. Like he had some answers of what's going on. What, like the reporter asked him what's going on, and but he in general had like less than 1 minute to explain everything. So you
Oh
have to
God.
have that like
Oh God.
full,
How
yeah. So it's really important to
if you
have
have that
this
clip too,
training. Yeah.
if you have that
I,
clip or any of that, please put that in here afterwards.
I
Because
will for
if that is
sure.
on a channel or a link or anything, please, I would love to have that. And if you can't find it, whenever you can, just DM it to me or Facebook message it to me. But if you can find it, please put it in the comments below. We
We
had the
have a lot of
police following
material.
the whole path with us. Yeah. Because in New York, I mean, the steps were similar. It was one, get a small nucleus of people who can ensure that there's a uniform goal that's very precise, which is report the truth. Two, ensure that you have people to cover the different talking points, the emotional talking points, the legal talking points, the war crime talking points, etc. Three, ensure that everyone that you choose to be some sort of face of anything could sit down and talk about it for hours and not do a single exaggeration. And four, but really like earlier, is just ensuring that no single entity says that this is ours and we don't want them, that you make sure that this is a collaboration and that no one should really have to say, we're the ones that deserve the credit. The credit goes entirely to Armenia and Artsakh, no matter what. All of it does.
Exactly.
This is what we're doing it for. For anything outside of that is masturbatory, and it's frankly more hurtful than helpful because we're wasting very urgent time when we start saying, "Oh, it was this organization that really." No, at this
Yeah.
point, I love because organizations are still organizations. Anka has been phenomenal for us for broadcasting things governmentally, for leading us in that direction. Part of this, you'll look at different Armenian organizations, and what are they doing? They're spreading Anka's message in a show of solidarity. That's the thing we definitely have to do. Ensure that we're all united because
I
we'll
agree
never be divided.
100%. Exactly. And we're fighting for the same purpose. So
Exactly.
when we are united, we're so much stronger. And the donations are an example of that, right? Like, well, we're focusing on one channel, but we're all collecting in different ways and channels to later focus on that one. So there is this very important part of raising awareness. And as Solange mentioned yesterday, it's not exactly what is going to save us, but it is what makes us closer to that, right? So
Yes.
I think it's
It
very
is
important.
it is automatically the first step.
Exactly.
So no matter what way we win, it's the first step. Because if
And
no
we
one
have
recognizes this in a year, this can happen again. Sorry to interrupt you because of the timing.
no, please. No, but that's it. And I mean, we have to fight for the recognition as well. So if you have friends, if you have ways to articulate with the local municipalities, with the public sector in general, in a structured way, like create actions or projects to be approved, recognizing Artsakh. This would be our best solution in a moment. Like in the moment, I'm like forever. This is the best solution, and the
I
donations
agree.
itself. So I have been in touch with, well, so many messages, but two of them are very important to me. Like one of them regarding donations is people are being impacted in such a way that we cannot even imagine, like ripped out of their homes and like losing their like families and everything. So the type of donation that we have to do right now, it's the type that will impact us as well. Like
Yes.
it's not something, okay, it's like fits on the budget, it was already right. No, it's like it obviously each and every one of us will decide the best thing. Like
Yes.
no, I won't even
But
mention,
we must decide.
but we must decide and in a way that it's well, it could impact us really, and in a healthy way, but it's still. And the other
John,
one is,
John, I just
yeah,
want to
sorry.
say, ahora, no, it's okay. Ahora solamente tenemos 2 minutos.
Okay. No, yeah, I think the last thing is I saw some good initiatives of people programming themselves to donate in a monthly basis.
Yes.
So like a percentage of your income, we could set apart and kind of automatically program to donate. So I think these are the things like communicate, raise awareness, recognize our tzach, and donate.
And ensure that we're all unified in these endeavors. Because 20 voices saying 20 messages will sound like nothing. Whereas 20 voices, even 10 voices saying the same thing, that means something.
Much more impactful.
Natalia, you're awesome. Keep being awesome. I love you and thank you so much for coming in and to some degree representing, Sao Paulo in this international conference we're doing right now. And again, just thank you. It's good to have these insights, this knowledge. I didn't know about that cavalcade of cars in Sao Paulo. And please send me material about that, okay?
We have a lot in Instagram of AGBU and others in São Paulo. It's in Portuguese, but for sure we'll send.
I will learn Portuguese just to be part of that.
That sounds good. And
Obrigado.
donate, people. Come on, we need this help. Armenians need this help.
Natalia, when you sign off in a few seconds, can you invite all your friends? All your friends.
For sure. I was already inviting, but yeah.
Yes. I'm going to say that the number of people who visit and stay long enough that I can see, the number of people will be matched in a donation. So yesterday we had over 800 people. So that would be an $800 donation. This will be, if it's, 300 people, it's only $300. If it's 1,000 people, it's over $1,000. So let's see, and I'm going to screenshot it afterwards, and it will be matched. So definitely spread the word. We have 2 speakers left. Again, Natalia, obrigado. Thank you so much. Gracias, Messi.
Thank you, Messi.
Efkaristo. Efkaristo.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Such a lovely human. Just such great people. I can't. So now let's travel to Los Angeles, where we find the Sarahs.
Hello.
How are you, John?
Good.
I'm okay. So the timing, this is what the timing is. So wait, let's do it again. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a
so
lag?
Kichma.
Okay,
A little bit.
There's like a snowstorm where I am.
You're not in LA, are you?
We came up to the mountains yesterday and we woke up to a ton of snow. It's like winter wonderland.
Wow. That's phenomenal. Can we see?
Yeah. Let me see without cutting out.
Oh my God,
the
snow.
downstairs balcony looks like. So imagine.
Oh my God.
It's all white
outside. I'm cold looking at that.
Yeah, it's been pretty chilly.
Okay. Well, tell us who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. So tell us, what your name is.
Okay, well, my name is Serta. I was born in Turkey. I was raised in LA. And I work in advertising. I'm an art director. But when it comes to this whole movement, I feel like I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody trying to do a little some. And I feel like I've been successful at it in like the weirdest way.
Yes, definitely a weird way.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everything's in a weird way lately. Nothing is normal anymore. But
that's true too. When
all of this started, I felt like I had to do something. I didn't know what, because I was never, I don't define myself as an activist. So I was never that girl planning protests or even going to protests most of the time, because I get like, major anxiety from the crowds and the chanting and stuff. So that's really not how I
And the
participate.
coronavirus, you know, being
Yeah, and the virus, like it's
yeah.
just it's not me. I'm not that kind of activist. So I was like, well, what can I do? You know. So I started making like illustrations. I was like, well, I can make content. You know, I can push out information wherever I see it's lacking. So I started doing that. It got a lot of likes and shares and stuff, which was cool. But then I stumbled upon an Azeri influencers page where one of my friends had shared. She was like, hey, go report this page. They're posting dead soldiers and whatnot, and it's really disrespectful. So when I got on there, I was like, well, let me see what this person's posting about. So
It's inhumane is what it is.
yeah. But I can't help
Not
it. I'm like,
human-like.
I got to see what it is that they're posting.
Yeah, of course. No, same. I look at them. I regret it later, obviously.
Yeah, totally. It's traumatizing, but I got to see it. And so the information I came across, though, was really helpful because I found out how these people are strategically targeting celebrities who are showing any support for our community. And so I made a video explaining all of this to my 500 followers. And I was like, hey, you guys, look what I found. You know, they have a Facebook group, which tells them what time and where to go comment and report. They have Instagram influencers who are, you know, specifically telling what photo to comment under, what to say. They have these wiki sites and documents they share amongst each other over Telegram and whatnot, where, again, they're telling each other where to be, what to say, literally what to copy and paste at this point.
Yep.
And I shared this with 500 people, and this video went viral because everybody was so desperately looking for an answer at the time.
Well, because
it got 110,000 views only on my page. So I can't even imagine what that number is because I know other people shared the video as well.
Yeah, not only shared, they regrammed it. So, you know, you wouldn't get any of the analytics at all. Exactly. And I would say easily 10 times that amount. Because I've seen, I saw your face like 8 times before I actually saw your account.
And then you probably saw my blurred face one, because there was another one right after.
That wasn't a video. That was a picture, right?
And then they put it together with more information.
Yeah, I got a picture version of that.
So an Armenian producer and a couple of her friends contacted me. They took my original video and they mashed it up with more of the information around this, about Cardi B's statement, about how she hadn't done any research, this, that, and they made a really thorough video, but they blurred out my face because at that point I was getting heavily harassed. So,
well, for those that don't know you, why don't you, at the risk of sounding, you know, repetitive to yourself, why don't you tell some of the audience here, like, what the fuck is going on in that regard? Because everyone who has been listening here and who will watch the thing, they'll know exactly what's been going on in terms of, you know, ISIS, in terms of other entities that are getting involved when they should stay the fuck out, and you know, the lies that they spread, the propaganda. Tell us about how these celebrities go from, you know, we want peace for Armenia, and then suddenly they're like, oh, I was misinformed.
Both sides.
Tell us about that.
Well, again, with the discovery of these influencer pages and Facebook pages, and with a little bit of digging and translation, we found out that they're basically harassing and threatening people. They are not only DMing them, but they're leaving comments saying like, so-and-so supports terrorism. And then they're going onto these celebrities' businesses and leaving 1-star reviews. And you don't even have to be a celebrity. You know, we have a lot of makeup artists in our community who are influential on social media. Just because they have like 1 million followers, they're getting their pages reported, they're getting their businesses attacked with 1-star reviews. And the reviews are not, you can tell they're fake reviews because it literally says, Karabakh is Azerbaijan. So they're not even putting in any effort. They just want to cause harm. And people's pages are being blocked. They're muted because they're being reported so many times. And it's really sad because if these people can't make money, they can't support and donations, and you know, if they can't do these lives, let's say they can't speak up for us with their massive audience. So
yeah, they're literally silencing them. I mean, and I think, you know, recently, I think it was early October, there was something like 8,000 accounts, troll accounts. One of these troll farms were just shut down finally. Do you
Even
think when
more,
that happens,
actually.
yeah, it was more. I mean, there was two. It was different a breakdown of all the different things they shut down at one time, but it was
Yeah.
8,000 specific troll accounts that they shut down, amongst other numbers, by the way,
Yeah.
as you're saying. That I think
Yeah.
should be a warning to Twitter, to Instagram, to Facebook that these
Mhm.
fuckers are
They know.
very, very pragmatically lying. Like, why not?
So they know, actually. That's what we found, because we've been trying to get in touch with people to help us, because a lot of the stuff that they're posting goes against the guidelines of the sites. So we've
Yeah,
been trying to remove that. Not informational posts, obviously. If they're sharing information, they're, that's freedom of speech. They need to do
your
that.
Wi-Fi is
But if
kind of
they're
cutting out,
sharing
John.
dead soldiers, if they're sharing videos of soldiers being dismembered and beheaded, that is against the guidelines, and those need to be removed. Am I freezing?
No, it
So
was. It was. Just make sure you're
as
near
we've
the
been
Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Yeah. As we've been doing this research, we found out that Facebook has already been investigating these groups. So not just in Azerbaijan, but other places in the world too. I believe there was about 6 countries who had thousands and thousands of pages removed, Facebook groups and Instagram pages, simply because they were creating fake accounts and they were using influencers to create inauthentic conversations. So basically, the influencer says, go comment XYZ under XYZ photo. And they were doing that, which doesn't allow for the other side of the argument to show up at all. They're
It floods.
manipulating the information flow.
Yeah. So that's what
One
happened
more
to me
time, please. Hold on.
actually. Oh, sorry, it floods it. It floods it. Uh, it actually happened to
Yep.
me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
can hear me, but there
Yep.
was I call it a mothership, in that the
Uh-huh.
mothership UFO comes down and then brings 1,000 other ones with it. So this one account, so maybe like 60, 70,000 followers. Uh, I mean, they're dumb. This Azeri was a dumb person, tagged me in it, maybe to make it a little bit easier for his followers. Um, and I got like, a notification and another notification, then another, and then they started to get faster. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? So I like freaked out and messaged people who have gone through this, and they're like, first make your account private immediately. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, did that. Then they were advising that I should essentially just like, what was it?
Limit the
Either
comments.
deactivate temporarily, or what was it? When I do reactivate, change my name, change my
Mm-hmm.
picture, change my information. Now I was like, okay, this I can do. So,
Yeah.
and it worked. I mean, I
See,
occasionally get comments.
It works, but at the same time, you're allowing them to be successful.
In
So
silencing me temporarily, yeah.
that's one voice silence right there. And it's not fair. And it's funny because we're doing the same to them now. We know the strategy, and we're doing the same to them. We are mass reporting the pages that are posting misinformation or anything against the guidelines. And they're really upset about it. They think it's because we have people inside of Facebook doing this for us, and that's not the case. We have simply gotten just as unified as they have.
Yeah. Yeah. Jano, my friend from Los Angeles, says you can block certain words
Yep.
or phrases from being commented on your posts.
So
Just block the Turkish and Azeri flags, and it shuts down
yeah.
it shuts down most of their comments. That's all they know how to do.
So if you have a creator account, you
It's so
can
funny.
go in and block Azerbaijan and Turkey altogether, and then you can block certain keywords. So I did that in the very beginning. As soon as I saw that my video started going around and knowing what the tactic is, I was like, okay, first things first, I'm gonna block all of this, which then was really upsetting to them because they're like, you're limiting the freedom of speech. And I'm like, no, I'm limiting you harassing me is what I'm doing. This is my
Yeah.
page. I don't want to hear it. I don't want you to comment and argue in my comments and get all these notifications.
Do you have a video talking about that process, that step-by-step process, how to do that?
I don't, but I know that a lot of other accounts have created it, and I can reshare.
Well, if you
I think
reshare
Susie
or
Savoyan
create
does a
it,
really good job.
Mhm.
Do you know Susie?
The name isn't ringing a bell.
Icelink is her brand. Icelink Jewelry. No? Well,
Sounds like
she's
a rapper.
incredible. And she's made a few videos like that explaining how to block these pages or, you know, how to schedule your tweets and all of that stuff.
So if you do make a video like that, please let me know because,
Okay.
you know, you doing it is, I think, going to be exciting. Uh,
Okay.
and I will definitely share it and repost it. 100%.
Okay. Somebody like, can you do the blocking thing? No, I think it needs to be a creator account to Marimek.
Oh, I don't think so, actually. I think for commenting, the
maybe.
limiting the comments, I don't think you need to be a creator account. I think you can do that from
Creator
any
account.
type of account. Oh, the question was, where can I
Where did
get?
you get your Hokies beanie?
I got it from Hokies. Hokies is, I say it before, you know, people are like, why, like, you're clearly not sleeping based on the amount of things that you're working with the translations and the posts and the videos and all that other stuff. It's like, this is it. It's giving me energy.
Is that
There's,
a brand you're working on?
no,
Or
it's
working with?
I mean, it's one of my friends' brand. I mean, she's an awesome girl. 100% of the proceeds of Hokies right now go to Armenia Fund. I think she has deals on shipping. She's just like a young entrepreneurial, hardworking girl. And Hokies Boutique is
The pop
where
coming
you
out.
it's where you can find it. It is. And a friend just posted it, Hokies.com.
Nice.
Two eyes. Two
I'm
eyes.
actually, as of last night, I'm collaborating with Tatik Streetwear. Do you know that
Okay.
one?
Yeah,
So
that one I've heard of.
Matil is the founder of that, and I messaged her. She was sharing all the artists she's collaborating with, and I was like, I'm getting FOMO looking at this. We need to collab soon. She's like, I'm just going into production with this set. Send me what you got. Let's just get you through on this set. So
Hell
we're
yeah.
gonna be printing that the Snickers that I drew that says Haftaluenk instead of Snickers.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
really excited. I'm really, really excited.
Beautiful. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's take a second. Let's invite some of our LA friends.
Let's do that. Let me do that.
Yeah, because again, the amount of visitors will be matched as a
Okay.
single donation.
I hope everybody upstairs is watching. I saw some of them were on earlier. What else? What else should we go over?
Well, okay, so go ahead. No, you go. I'd rather you
I was
speak.
gonna say the cyber presence. I feel like a lot of people. I've been getting a lot of DMs saying like, "Well, I'm tweeting nonstop. I'm doing this. I'm doing that, but like nothing's happening. Is it actually doing something?" And
Oh, it is definitely, but
definitely.
Yeah.
So recently,
I just got 30 messages about like guys, are we even winning the information war? And it's just like, in so many ways,
it's not a win or lose. It's not. It's so gray. But
it's a spectrum.
Yeah, we're definitely creating some sort of impact. And recently, any and everybody who I've spoken with who's in Armenia right now is like, please continue everything you guys are doing. Continue the tweets, continue the protests, continue making content. Like, continue, because it's making a difference here. We feel the difference.
Tatik Streetwear sends their love to you. They send their love to you.
Streetwear is actually here. I love all of these people. I've met some incredible people ever since this whole thing started, and I think that's been the biggest blessing to come out of this, including you.
I mean, oh no, don't say that. Thank you. I am really bad at compliments, but thank you very much.
You're so good
thank
at
you very much.
Though.
Well, it's because it's, you know, that was interesting because you're complimenting me on complimenting. Well, no, I definitely want to continue with that particular thing. I mean, you're right. Just to start with, you're completely right. There are such fascinating, amazing, talented, intelligent, beautiful, incredible people who have been participating in this. And like I'm only talking to not only, but I'm communicating with these things with 18 of you, 18 or 19 of you, and we have such phenomenal waves of information and inspiration. Yeah, like, and they're together across 16 cities. You know, it's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so
Yeah,
interesting to me.
it's funny
You're lagging again.
because I think everybody they're seeing people are super involved. They're putting in all of it, but there's so many people behind the scenes just as involved, putting in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That like we
100%.
wouldn't be able to do it without them.
100%.
Yeah, I love it. I love that everybody's been able to put aside their ego and just get shit done.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you heard some of the last conversations, but
Yeah, I
like
was listening.
a lot of that is like, thank God that everyone is like, you know what? Fuck everything else. Right now, we need to find out, what are you good at? Who do you know that's good at these particular things? And let's move together simultaneously
Yep.
and do it and keep doing it. And you take breaks only with the purpose of knowing that you'll do it better when you're done with that break and you recharge.
Exactly. After my video, a lot of people started DMing me saying like, okay, well, what do we do? Like, you put this information out, but what's our next step? And I was kind of just like, I didn't think that far because I stumbled upon this information. It's not like something I had been digging into trying to expose. And so,
But the thing is, you did it. The thing is, you did it. And that's
yes,
that's
and
what everyone needs to know, that idea you have.
Because people, I feel like, constantly think like, oh man, I only have 200 followers, I'm not going to say anything, it's not going to go anywhere anyway. And that's not the case. We all have influence. If you put out valuable information, the right people will see it and we can do something about it.
And
that's
200
exactly
people is a lot of
came
people
and like
still.
adopted me. Yeah, that's a big audience. If you were to stand up in front of 200 people to speak, you'd be nervous.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, and so everybody has influence and everybody kind of needs to just do it. And I'm a firm believer in your vibe will attract your tribe. And that's exactly what's happened to me. And like, all these people came and found me and they're like, okay, well, let me know how to help. And I'm like, okay, well, what's your superpower? And I started creating these groups of people. I'm like, oh, you're good at tech? Let's put you in this group. I don't have any tech experience, but they're working on stuff and you can help them. Oh, you're an artist. You know what? Let me put you in this group. You can help these people. And slowly but surely, we started creating these groups. And whenever we come across things that need to be done, I'm like, I have no idea anything about the question you're asking me, but let me go ask these people. They'll have an answer. And like, it's been incredible.
It really has. I mean, I'm constantly blown away by just how efficient we are becoming. And it's, you know, people ask, you know, my American friends, and you know, one thing that I will, and I hate saying this, but say positive about that I've gotten accomplished for my own world, and I don't like speaking positively about myself ever. I have like a complex about that, but I have coworkers and friends and Americans who are now very well educated, well versed in what is going on. I have, you know, my coworker emailed me after the ceasefire, and before I even posted about it, he was like, "How long do you think this one will last?" This is a total Oda has no involvement in the Armenians, knows a few Armenians back when they were in college.
They're starting to catch on the pattern.
But we have to keep doing this. Like when we get these little victories, that doesn't mean, oh, you can slow down. That means like you got it. Now you got to pull even more, because that means that the victory is exactly. Exactly. I like talking to you because you know this stuff quite well, and you are like thrown into having to know so much more in such a small period of time, like many of us, right?
And it's easy. It's easy when you're surrounded by the right people. It's easy when you have people around you who can, you know, close those gaps where whatever you're missing. Yes.
And again, it's just there's so many different ways you can help. What are some ways, you know? I mean, I said before, hockey's this superpower of mine, you know, is one of the ways in which I see someone creatively helping, because the proceeds are going straight to it. Tell us again about Tatik Streetwear.
Tatik Streetwear is an Armenian streetwear brand. She does like hoodies, tees, hats, beanies, whatever, backpacks, socks. She's got it all. And she always has seeds will go to Armenia Fund. I've seen many artists creating paintings and then raffling them off. That has been very cool. Creatively, what else? Honestly, content. We need more content because it gets old really fast. You know, even if it's talking about the same things, write it out in your own words. Just make sure that your facts are straight. You know.
Yes.
Let's say the Khojali.
The worst thing we can do is. Yep.
Right. That's constantly thrown at us. We cannot circulate enough information about the truth. So it gets old. Once you see it one time, you're over it. You're not going to go back and read it. If you see a new layout, new whatever, new little facts, it's going to catch your these lives, whether you're making funny videos like Rich Almoyan always does. We need to keep circulating information in creative ways.
Or our friend It's Your Girl Ani. Our friend It's Your Girl Ani also had great content. Her reels are so funny.
I love her reels. I love them.
Message her and say that. Let her know.
I commented on her last reel actually, and I was like, I'm obsessed. You need to make more reels because they're hilarious. And that's what stops people. You know, working in advertising, I know damn well that if I put out like 6-7 slides of just paragraphs, no one's going to read it because people have the attention span of a goldfish.
Goliath was telling me that. He's like, yo, your translation posts, great idea, great job. But chill, make one of yours just asshole Erdogan. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, just try it. And I was like, okay. And I did. And it flew.
Yeah, you got to get disruptive, especially on social media, because we're so used to scrolling. It's a doom scroll. You just mindlessly scroll.
Yeah.
And you need those things that are going to stop you in your tracks.
I learned that word this week.
One keyword like that, which doom scroll?
I learned that word this week, doom scroll. Yes. Oh no, the Wi-Fi is cutting out again. John, are you there? Oh no. I've fallen and I can't get up. Well, I don't know if you guys can hear me. Hit me with a comment if you guys can hear me right now. Oh no. Perhaps it is I that is lagging. Oh. Okay. Let me, so it's actually kind of the time. You can hear me. Okay, that's cool. Well, we actually are switching to our last speaker in about a minute or so. Let's invite Serge just to say goodbye. Wow. So we have instructions about and education about how the cyber war is going. I can't wait to rewatch this because I'm just going to review not only some of the important information, but the way they worded things. It was so condensed and perfect. It's like, I mean, I guess when you're, shouting and screaming and crying and wailing the same ideas over and over again, you sharpen exactly how you want to say them, and you learn what works and what doesn't work. Okay, let me try again. Okay, it's unable to join. So maybe if she comes back, she can write her final notes. But we have one last guest. Um, so we're gonna invite this last guest also from Los Angeles, the city of angels.
What's
Look,
up?
looking like a Johnny, an intellectual Johnny, might I add.
I'm trying. I'm trying to grow up.
How are you, man?
Um,
Yep, me
I'm not.
too.
I'm not gonna lie. I can only imagine. I think you saved the best for last in this 2-day marathon. But
Yep.
now I'm being modest. It's been. It's today started off really, really difficult. I got news of a loved one dying on the battlefront this morning, and somebody very dear to me. And so
Oh
far,
man,
yeah, I don't know
I'm
if you know,
sorry.
it's
No, let's talk about that. Let's talk
yeah.
about that because I mean, there's one thing that I think has been just missing from this particular one so far is because we've been educating a lot. I think coincidentally, it's not like I tried to ask anyone about this. This is just how it manifested. Tell us like what it's like, because I mean, I can definitely contribute my own side, and I think many people who have lost people would benefit from you talking about how you feel.
Well, I mean, just like you, ever since this war broke out, or what I call an attack, uh,
Yes.
we lost 9 people from our co-op villages that were on the front, and that's been very difficult because,
Yeah.
I've been with Children of Armenia Fund co-op for 8 years now, and these 18, 19-year-olds were 10 and 11 when I first met them, and
Yeah.
in many ways they're still like my kids, or our kids, and that's been difficult. The human perspective of loss and all this potential that these kids had. Um, and this morning I got a call from a friend of mine, and you know, this guy by the name of Ardash, who's like my dad's age, and he's my driver. Like anytime I'm arriving in Yerevan or leaving at 5 o'clock in the morning, like he's the first face I see and the last face I see. He's like family to me. And last year his grandson Moses, turned 18 and had to serve, and you know, he was like, I hope he's not going to be sent to Artsakh, because of the occasional snipers and this, that, whatever. And lo and behold, he got, deployed in Artsakh. And I just was like, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. And I get the call this morning that his grandson was killed, 19 years old. And I think the theme of what you're doing in the last bit that I saw is, my immediate reaction was I have to do a fun Facebook fundraiser for this family, because I know that they're financially not in the best shape, and
devastated.
And so it's, getting news like that and trying to do whatever you can in the diaspora or wherever. And I was just like, okay, let me see what I could do, at least financially, to have some sort of, it's not going to bring the kid back, but
Yeah.
you find some solace and some comfort in knowing that at least you were able to help in some way and get people activated. And
Yeah.
and what I'm
Well,
finding is like getting people to, we see a lot of these on social media of soldiers and ones that have fallen heroically. And then it's another thing when you see that there's a friend of yours who actually knows a few of these soldiers personally, and how it's just, yeah, it's devastating.
yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what I said to Nerses. I mean, I saw the news of Vahe's death. Vahe, 19-year-old. By the way, just very quickly, I'm gonna introduce you. This is Haig Boyajan. Haig, can you just very, very quickly tell us who you are, Jan?
I'm Haig Boyajan, based in LA, born and raised. I've been with Co-op Children of Armenia Fund for 8 years now. I started off in 2012 working on the ground when I was living in Armenia. And I worked for Co-op on the ground for 3 years. like I said, in Armenia, and then out of the New York office for 3 years. And the last 3 years I spent my time, in Los Angeles and in Armenia half the year. And I couldn't go this year because of the pandemic. I was supposed to go in April. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
And you're also a phenomenal person and someone who is somehow dances between, and I know you might disagree with this, but dances between uh, being very much a direct, a straight shooter, someone who will literally be like, well, this is what should be done. This is where you can improve. This is what you should definitely do again because that shit worked. But also someone who is like very, very hospitable in nature. Like there's a reason why the kids light up when they see you. There's a reason why people light up when you walk into a room. They're very excited to see you. It's why you're great at what you do with getting any donor to remember forever what co-op is, even if they're not Armenian, even if they don't even like children very much. They will remember that interaction. And if there's anyone who I think is good at just marketing into a person's brain straight to their heart about what moves people, what is it that moves people, you would be that person that I would reach out to and be like, is this meaningful, is this idea meaningful, or is this something stupid, am I overthinking this particular thing? So let me ask you this question. From your angle, being in Los Angeles, where essentially, I don't want to say Little Armenia because I don't want to confuse people with Robin's project, but another Armenia, a giant Armenian community in Los Angeles. What do you see working? Actually, let's go the other way. What do you see that hasn't been working enough, and what do you see that has been working? Because I trust you to be critical in a way that's respectful, but also that certain things work better than other things. And if you want to switch the order, it's fine.
I mean, let's start with the positive, right?
Sure.
I've never seen this much unity, and cross-generational unity. So I'm seeing 5, 7, 8-year-old kids mobilized, making bracelets, making I don't know what, just
That's
to raise
amazing.
money. So LA is definitely mobilized, and LA is one of those rare cities where I think because the Armenian community is so big here, that pretty much most people in LA know what's going on in Armenia because we're raising such awareness out here.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, I think we're doing a great job. I see a whole new generation that's identifying with their heritage, with what's going on in Armenia. I think that, I think gradually what's happened in the diaspora is, we've had an independent Armenia that a lot of us now associate with when you're Armenian, whether you're born there or not. Whereas our parents' generation, our grandparents, they were like 2 generations out without an independent Armenia, right?
Yeah.
So I think that Armenia has really become a rallying point and a base of identification for the diaspora, including the new generation. And I'm convinced, I mean, I know this. I know that we have, transgenerational trauma from genocide, from
Genocides. Yeah.
genocides, all this trauma, right? The first Karabakh War, Armenian ethnic cleansing in Soviet Azerbaijan.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this.
Just for being Armenian.
Right. So there's this, never again sort of attitude in the diaspora where, we've been fighting for genocide recognition for 105 years or whatever. Here we are being annihilated again. And I think nobody wants to put up with it. I think there's a shock factor where people are like, is this really going on right now? And then there's this desire to not desire, but this determination, to prevent that from happening. And so I love the unity. as far as out here in LA, like I really can't be negative about anything. You know, you can't drive for more than 2, 3 minutes without seeing another car with the Armenian flag, you know, hatched onto the window.
That
So
makes me very happy to hear, by the way. That makes me very,
yeah, I
very
mean, like
happy.
in most parts of LA, you know, it's like you drive for 3 minutes and you know, you're bound to see a car with Armenian flags. There's a lot of solidarity, and it's across all, you know, ages and backgrounds of Armenians. And so that's, you know, that's the thing. My only thing is, you know, I'm encouraging, you know, it's indifference that I've never really tolerated much
Yeah.
with regard to anything. And
Yes.
so what I'm seeing
Anything
is,
that's urgent, anything that you deem urgent. Yeah.
yeah, you know, and so my issue is more like, if you happen to be Armenian and you're not raising awareness about it, that is something that bothers me more, as opposed to me being critical of somebody donating socks when they can be doing something probably a little more worthwhile. But I won't put down that person that really like genuinely feels good and that's their way of helping, is donating socks, for example.
And that
You
might
know?
be what they're the most efficient at doing, and they might
Yeah,
be the only one giving socks. I mean, that's the clothing item that just happens to be the least
yeah,
donated item. So you know, you're very much on point. I mean, I've reached out to friends, very
yeah,
close friends, and you know, I've you know, because people are sensitive right now. I mean, we're sensitive for so many reasons. I mean, I was a, you know, there's certain points where I feel like I'm a ticking time bomb.
mhm,
So I have to reach out to others with the cognizance and the empathy that they're probably in the same state. So I go in very carefully. I'm like, hey, friend, like I noticed that you haven't posted anything
yeah,
in a week or 2 weeks, or you know, and sometimes they get angry with me. Sometimes I think the defense mechanisms come out. One person actually, I was saying, I noticed from your wall,
mm,
she might be on this right now. I was actually, I wasn't even talking about anything in that regard. I just noticed her last post on Instagram was September 27th or 26th. And
right,
I was like, yeah, I know that this is affecting you because you haven't posted since September 27th. She's like, I don't know what you're trying to say, but like this is an incredibly important thing to me. And I'm like, I'm not trying to make fun of her. I agree with her 100% because just looking at her Instagram, it looked like her life ended on that day.
yeah,
And like she's just not on Instagram. And those aren't the people I'm talking about. It's the people that are still on Instagram, that are posting their sushi, that are posting the book they're reading, that are posting the wine, the friends, the birthday, the thing. And I had one person say to me on the phone, am I just supposed to drop everything and focus only on Armenia? And my voice broke because I screamed yes. Like that is exactly what you are motherfuckingly supposed to do.
you know,
You're supposed to, in the moments in which you can help, where you genuinely can help, you should. And my very, very lovely friends in New York convince me occasionally to take these breaks. And the only way they actually convince me is when they say things like, do you really think you can continue like the way you're doing at this rate? You don't think you're going to burn out? And it's just like, no, you're right. I should take a break. I should go have go to a barbecue or sit down with someone and hang out. But you will never find me posting a selfie. You won't find me broadcasting anything because to me and to all of you, when you broadcast something that isn't at least somewhat, people have been very creative. They'll take a selfie with recognized Artsakh on them. It's like that's
right.
fine. You're still sexy, you know. Uh, like you right now, it is our responsibility to help give a voice to the people who are being genocided against. Like that should be. I shouldn't have to have that awkward conversation with anyone who claims to be Armenian.
You know, it's a tough situation, right? You're becoming judgmental or critical, you know, by saying that. Obviously, I feel the exact same way. But for me, you know, I learned, whether it's the political situation in the US and people's political views and, you know, which has become completely secondary for me with what's going on in Armenia.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
it's like tertiary for me because I still am the
Completely.
coronavirus. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm, seeing people still fighting about Trump and Biden, and I'm like, really? Like, there's Armenians dying right now? Like, it's really like, anyways. But I don't know, Sam. Like, just don't engage. I mean, try to do it always in a positive, constructive way, but you can't really force somebody, to do
To
something that
care.
they essentially, if that selfie is more important to them or showing what they're eating or whatever, it's like, so be it. And you just form your own opinion about that person, and you realize, you try not to judge, but you just form an opinion like, all right, like, I see what this person stands for, you know?
Yeah, so I disagree. I disagree with most people on the point that you're making.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, more just the way that I personally study psychology. I belong to a certain field. I think that anyone can be that we're endlessly malleable. That anyone can be shaped to be anything if you give it enough pressure. Uh,
That
and for
sounds
me,
like the Armen school of thought,
yeah.
of shaping
Well,
people.
Well, I mean, it really is a genuine sentiment in that when I reach out to some of these people, you're right. I should be constructive. I should recognize that there is a sensitivity both with being criticized by a friend and two, just with life right now. Because even without the coronavirus, even without this stupid fucking elections, there's
Yeah.
still plenty of, and without the attempted genocide, there's still 2020 was not a good year for so many other reasons that are I guess a lot of them are rooted in the coronavirus still.
Yeah.
But
But anyways, why don't we move on from what other people should be posting and what they shouldn't be? Because, like, honestly, my advice is whatever psychology you subscribe to, it's like sometimes you just swipe and be like, wow, that's really unfortunate. And you just, honestly, you are going to expend so much energy in trying to like school people on what they should post and what they shouldn't post.
should I
I
start
just,
reporting them? Should I start?
no, don't do that. There's
You're
another thing.
inciting violence with your selfie. You're making me
No,
violent.
Sam, you know what else is really weird? Hang on, somebody wrote, I think that people can post an avocado toast, and it's totally fine as long as that is not the only thing they post. Okay. We love avocados here in California. But anyways,
You have to carve Artsakh recognize Artsakh into the avocado.
yeah,
If I don't see that, it's not. And again, I'm more extreme with this. Like I'm
you know
definitely
what
the
it is though,
extreme side.
Sam? I'm finding myself to be a little more patient and tolerant with my fellow Armenians, actually. I've got so much love for my nation right now that, like, and I'm going to use this word, like, even that douche that's like putting a photo of, them like cruising in their whatever car right now. Like, I look at it, I'm like, whatever. But at the same time, like, even Armenians that I've had differences with, whatever, I'm feeling like this more compassionate sort of like, okay, that's still like a fellow Armenian. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I would try to switch it to the positive and have everybody, anyways, but yeah.
Well, to go back, I mean, one of the things that all of this atrocity has yielded is a togetherness that I've never seen before in the Armenian community. In my
Yeah.
32 years of living, I've never seen this level of unification
Yeah,
ever.
because we're having an existential threat. I mean,
Yeah.
it's normal, you're going to band together. I don't think there's any Armenian out there, whether they're posting or not on social media, that isn't affected by what's going on. Some people are just incapable of communicating that or putting it out there in a constructive way and feel helpless. Some people are
Because of your
depressed.
intelligent words, the next time I see someone do something, post 3 or 4 times in a row, like posts, not stories, but 4 posts in a row, when, they could be doing something else, I'll instead just reach out to them and ask them questions about how they're feeling about what's going on. And,
Yeah.
with them thinking about it themselves, maybe they'll post. Because I do see a good amount of, I mean, I've also like 95% of my friends, my Armenian friends on the East Coast, not just New York, the whole East Coast, are posting regularly about Armenia. And the story is same thing. So this is a smaller amount, but we are a small group of people. So, We need
Yeah.
those numbers.
But I mean, it's just beautiful. I'm telling you, it's beautiful to see this much unity from Sydney to Paris to like Buenos Aires, you know, like all over, East Coast, West Coast, doesn't matter. Like, it's just
Your
beautiful.
your Latin accent is so good when you say
When I say what, West Coast?
when you said Buenos Aires.
Oh, I thought when I said West Coast.
No, no, that's a different accent. That's your gangster accent.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I can talk a little bit about, you know, co-op and what we're trying to do if you think that's
Sure,
interesting to some of the
sure.
people.
Tell us a little bit about Children of Armenia Fund and what it's been doing.
Yeah,
Heights,
so
we have about 10 minutes, 11 minutes,
all
just as
right,
a heads up.
then I'll go 20. So
It'll kick us out.
no, it won't, because I'm from the
I hope
west
not.
side. Anyways,
You see the ticker going back up? It's like 10, 9. The Hag's like, yo, it's at 10, 11, 12, 13.
Sam, you're taking up my time right now. No, I'm
Sorry,
kidding.
baby. Sorry, baby.
No,
Sorry, baby. No, you're right, though. You're right.
you know what? This is what's going on. And to answer your question earlier, it's in the same, I would say, you know, when you asked me about how the community here is, like the efforts and this, that, whatever, you know, everybody's doing what they can in Armenia right now. And I think that, you know, co-op, and we're going to be having our fundraiser December 5th. It's going to be televised this year, and it'll be virtual as well. We are focusing on what we do best. Crisis or not, war or not, in Artsakh. The bottom line is co-op is not directly in Artsakh. We're in rural Armenia. And to have a strong Artsakh, you need a strong Armenia. And to have a strong Armenia, you need a strong rural Armenia, because rural Armenia is the backbone of the country. Okay?
100%.
And so what we're going to continue doing is making sure that the young generation in rural Armenia and the villages that we're in, and there are over 60 of them in 5 provinces, we're going to make sure that their education programs, that their healthcare programs and social programs go uninterrupted, okay? Because now, you know, co-op has always been in the business of nation building, of empowering this generation to live up to their potential, to grasp and seize these opportunities for advancement. And now is even like more critical than ever to make sure that these programs continue and these kids don't feel like they've been abandoned and neglected. Okay, so our approach is, let's do what we do best. Let's not neglect and forget our kids in the villages, and let's continue and keep the lights on and make sure these kids are being empowered. So
co-op, you know, donating to co-op and doing that, that's like playing the long game,
which is
you know?
the game that we've always played. It's always been
Yeah.
it's been a long-term investment in these kids' futures. That's why we have, you know, a whole new generation that grew up with us, right? That are now super successful and achieving all that, you know, that they are capable of achieving. So that needs to go on. That process cannot stop because there's a conflict going on in Artsakh. So so that's the game plan for co-op. And you know,
just to reiterate, like, it's not just education programs, but you know, when we rebuild schools, like, it's the local people that help rebuild the school. So you build economies there. It's local people who are trained and now have that knowledge, which they can teach to the next generation and to other people in other communities. So again, that's a long game benefit, because it spreads that kind of ability. And you know, I was just thinking about, you're my last speaker in this 2-day series. You know who my first speaker was?
Who?
Nerses.
Yeah. So Nerses is a prime example of, you know, we've known Nerses since he was, I don't know how old, grew up in Lernagog, which is
12 or 11.
in the arm of your villages, in the arm of your province. And Lernagog has been the heaviest hit of casualties, actually, with this Artsakh conflict, because most of the kids who have died are from Lernagog. And Nerses is a prime example, and so is Anahid, of, you know, I call them kids, you know, but, and I'll tell you a story about Nerses and Anahid in a second. But, you know, they grew up with us, and they became, you know, so qualified and so incredible that we hired them to work out of the Yerevan office. But you know, the funny thing is, I sent them both. You know, for me, it was kind of weird because I was in the States when they got hired to join the team in Yerevan. And, you know, I kind of look at these guys like still my kids, you know?
Children,
So,
they're like your babies. Yeah, I feel the same way when I look at Narcissus. And when my
yeah.
friends are like, "Whoa, he's so cute," like, well, you know, how old is it? And I'm just like, he is a baby.
So anyways, so when I go, you know, the couple of months, the 6 months or whatever that I'm in the Yerevan office, like my relationship was different with them when they were younger because it's like, what's up, Nerses? What's up, Anahit? This, that. And so now I feel like I need to be very professional and sort of cold. So there's no favoritism or that I'm not. So I'm very like, okay, great, thank you, this, that, whatever. But I'm not as like, you know, joking with them and this, that. And when this, you know, attack happened in Artsakh and I saw all these kids from Lernagog dying, you know, I wrote them both on Facebook. And I said, I know I don't show it that much at the office ever since you guys came as staff, but I said, both of you need to know how much I love you guys. Whether I continue to show it or not, it's because of the stupid office dynamic. And I try to like, you know, be professional, which is very difficult for me because I haven't matured all that much. But anyways, so that's the story there. I don't want to keep going on about that, but yeah,
I message our kids
yeah,
maybe 2-3 times a day. So sometimes it's only one or two that's popping into my head, or I just can't stop thinking about. Sometimes it's like 15 of them. But
yeah.
I just message them saying like, you know, just a reminder that I love you and like, you know,
That's all you need to hear.
yeah. And like
Sometimes.
I think Narcissus is getting sick of it because now he's instead of responding, he just loves the comment.
Oh,
He's
he's like, yeah, that's my
it.
strategy.
I get it. You're a fan of
No,
me.
you know what? But sometimes all people need to know is that you love them and you think about them. You know,
Yeah.
we did some filming with Art Simon, who's been a longtime collaborator with Co-op on a lot of our films.
Yeah.
And he's from LA and he flew out to Yerevan the minute, you know, like a week or two after the
Oh,
conflict started.
yeah.
And, you know, I encouraged him to meet with some of the kids from Lernagog and interview them. And one of the kids, David, who also lost his life, his sister Gohar was being interviewed by Art, and there was just such resilience and such. It's in Armenian; it's going to be translated, but there was such resilience and such pride, and she held it together. And she said, "You know, my brother was a hero, and he'd want us to say we're going to win." And as hurt as I am and devastated as I am, like I have to keep his memory alive, and I need to think from a more patriotic, you know, place. And what was the point I was gonna make? Oh, but she said, Kof being in our lives is the reason why you're here right now, filming this and like paying tribute and memorializing my brother, and others in the diaspora and in the world are gonna know about my brother as one
And
of
his
the people.
heroism.
And as one of, you know, over what 1,200 soldiers that have fallen. But it's just like it's anyways, it's a long-term commitment to our kids. It needs to continue. And
And when it is officially fully won, and it's time to focus primarily on rebuilding, this is
yeah,
something that we have been doing for 17 years, more now. This is something that Co-op has gotten very good at doing, rebuilding, because it was originally we were rebuilding because of essentially the legacy of a fallen empire of the Soviet Union
yeah,
collapsing. Now it's going to be for you know, villages being devastated by loss
yeah.
all throughout Armenia, because Lernagog is clearly not the only village, or Armavir being the only
Yeah.
district or province. You know, this
Well,
is something that we're going to have to work on, especially psychologically. Like,
that's what I was just gonna say. There's gonna be some long-term post-traumatic um, repercussions and consequences, and we need to be there for our kids because right now, you know, I was listening to one of the soldiers being interviewed, and he said, "We don't have time to process when my friend is dying next to me, you know, during war. Like you just look at it and then it hits you afterwards, but you're in this, you're in like kill mode, right? Kill or
yeah,
be killed. So it's
yeah.
war." So a lot of
Yeah.
these people are going to be hit with some major issues. Not only the soldiers coming back, but the families back in our villages that are losing loved ones. It's a mess. It's heartbreaking, and there's so much that needs to continue. We talk about education and healthcare, but our social services are part of our psychotherapy assistance programs, and we are right now, completely revising and as far as what kind of outreach is going to have to be done in the next couple of months, because I'm not a psychologist, but whoever I'm talking to tells me that you need time for people to process some trauma and then you start therapy. So it can't be fresh right when
John, there's 25 seconds left.
Anyways, look, I'm happy to be on this. I commend you, Sam, for putting this together. In parting words, I know we're fundraising for Armenia Fund today, and that's another sign that we're all in this together. Support Armenia Fund, support co-op, support everything, support Armenia. All right?
Love you. Hak de luink.
Ayo.